This is going to be the thing with one head today. We're doing a special episode that pertains to the world of conventions and booking agents and promoters. And so I've invited a few of my friends who are also booking agents that have their own agencies like mine. And we're all just going to discuss what it is we do and this and that and whatnot. And it's not really Chris's world, and he's busy working on Exorcist right now. So I thought this could be a fun little, sub episode fall in there somewhere. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this, and let's see how it goes.
Hey, Sean.
Hello.
Am I loud and clear?
Let's see. There's Rick. Just waiting for Fred.
Okay. Yeah, when you texted us at 5:18 and said I'll send it right before we go on, I was like, I think I better double check the time with them.
What's up, man?
Look at all you guys. You guys got all your shit in the background. You got stuff. You got a backdrop for this.
Yeah, you look like you're like in a FedEx storage room.
That's right. That's right. 10,000 photos for these fuckers.
I've got many shelves like that. That's in my garage, though.
Yeah, well, I gotta store all these damn photos. I got another whole fucking thing of them over there.
Yep.
Yeah, closet full of them here. Well, you haven't been there that long though, Rick. Like you're not really like fully situated yet, are you?
In this house?
Yeah.
No, I've been in this house for like 3 years now.
Oh.
So
your office is like so plain. Now you don't have like Conan stuff on the wall?
No, that's in my I have a Conan room just through the door here.
Oh.
So I just got back from the tattoo place the other day or yesterday. I went up and got a new Conan tattoo on my arm. Oh God, you probably can't see it.
Put this on silence.
Oh wow, that looks pretty badass.
Yeah, it's the. Hold on, I might be able to do it better by.
Fred's here. Here he comes.
I don't know if you could see that on my phone. Probably not. Anyway, it's the snake that Thulsa Doom turned into.
He's got the hat on. He's already.
I already know, bro.
Oh God, that thing looks brand new.
Nah, it's my old one. This is the one I wear all the time. The Super Bowl ones, those are on the way.
What is that? Like a Native American arrow?
Exactly. Here we go.
That's racist.
Yeah, that's gonna be cult. You can't culturally appropriate that shit, man.
How is it racist? Okay.
I don't know, man. It just is. It upsets me. So we need to change it. And I'm not,
Is my lighting bad, or should I put a light up?
You're fine. I see you fine. Yeah.
So I'm Dominic Mancini. I run Full Empire Promotions. Started in 2008, and some of the names I book: Billy Zane, the American Horror Story cast. The cast of ET, some of the X-Files people, Nick Carter, so on.
Mm-hmm.
More horror than anything. Yeah.
My name's Rick Henriques. I own and run Iconic Inc. Management. I'm probably most known for repping almost the entire cast of Cobra Kai / Karate Kid. I rep a good portion of the Stranger Things cast, including Gaten and Caleb and Finn. And just recently started getting a lot of heat because I'm repping a good portion of the cast of Dexter as well. I've been doing this for 13 years, 17 if you include when I was a sports agent before this.
Fred Hernandez, co-owner, primetime appearances with Gilbert Boyas. Rep a lot of Sons of Anarchy guys, Kiefer Sutherland, Jason Patrick, some Power Rangers. Now we got like 30 anime guys and girls. So that's really that's a new world for us too, that anime. It's just crazy. But been doing it since 2017. I originally wasn't an agent. I was a booker, and then got screwed over, which I think we'll get into about, some of that stuff. Got screwed over and said, now I'll never run a con again, and ended up being an agent, which is funny because the first guy I ever contacted was Rick about doing that. So
about being an agent.
Yeah, because I didn't want to be an agent. So, I guess we're just shooting the shit. So, yeah. So when I first became an agent, I'll tell the story. I booked for Alamo City Comic Con. I worked with all three of you guys, actually. I worked directly with all three of you guys before Apple took over. But I worked with them. Long story short, got screwed over. But I came to Rick because I had booked a client directly. I booked Judith Hogue, who was the original April O'Neil in Ninja Turtles. She didn't have an agent, just emailing her, booking her for Alamo City. True story, man. This one conversation changed my whole life. We were at the hotel, the Indigo that we used to all hang out at. We were there. She had a good weekend. Don't want to get into how much she made, but she had a good weekend. She was like, oh my God, I thought I was going to be sitting next to, the people from the Brady Bunch. That's who she thought were at these things. Cause back then, remember, we used to just do them.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, oh, this is pretty cool. I could do this. And I was like, sweet. Well, I know some agents. I could hook you up like with any of these guys. And she goes, well, you kind of seem like you know what you're doing. Why don't you do it? And I was like, I don't know if I want to be sitting on the phone talking to promoters all day. I ran it by Rick, and Rick's exact words were, fuck it, go make some money. And I was like, fast forward, man. And, look at us now. So
now I want 10% of everything.
Believe me.
Advisory fee.
Yeah.
I feel like that and like celeb photo ops. It's like I should be getting a cut. I hooked you guys up with almost every show you work with. God damn it. And for those of you that don't know, I'm Sean Clark. I run Convention All-Stars. I've been doing it about 20 years. Work with a lot of cast of The Walking Dead, like Norman Reedus, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, tons of the Halloween stars, like Jamie Lee Curtis, Nick Castle, Screamcast, Matthew Lillard, Nev Campbell, and so on. So, hey guys, thanks for jumping in on this today. I thought this could be it'll probably just turn into a bitch fest of us bitching about everything that bothers us about every convention and everything out there. But yeah, I just thought I get a lot of questions, because I have my podcast that I do with Christopher Nelson, who he's not going to join us today because this is not his world at all. He can't relate to any of this. He doesn't know about any of this stuff, except for being a guest occasionally at a convention. But I get a lot of questions, why do you do this? Why are things this way? Why, and I just thought it would be a fun sort of just, we all kind of talk amongst ourselves and explain to people why things are the way they are, why things are priced this way, why they'll only do certain photo ops, blah, 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 why we won't do certain shows, whatever, the rivalries, the fucking territories, the everything, I mean, there's so much politics and drama that goes into this business that people don't have any clue about. Let me turn my fucking ringer off. People don't have any clue about. And, I think people like it when you're transparent. I think the fans appreciate it, and also to give an idea of how much effing work we do. I mean, I think people, especially I like to use the term fanagers, like to think it's just, let me contact a celebrity on Instagram and, it happens. It all just happens. It's that easy, man.
They work. The fanagers work for like 6 days and then they decide that, oh man, I can't even believe it. This isn't just like one big gigantic green room, and then they go away. So
they don't even know what a green room is.
No, they work on contacting everybody else's clients is what they do.
Yeah, that too. We'll get to that too. So anyway, let me kick off a topic here. Let's start with one I think that should be touched on that we've all had to deal with as, we've been doing this a long time now. The sudden interest from the big agencies to open personal appearance divisions. These same agencies that shit on us and our business for decades suddenly want to steal all our work, and our clients that they've been representing for other things. And they suddenly just think, oh, you owe us, you should jump ship because we clearly know what we're doing. It'd be like asking one of us to book a film. We wouldn't have a clue, But anyway, what's your guys' take on it? Who wants to start? I think Rick has a few thoughts.
I know Rick's probably got the most on that.
You think? Well, listen, it's funny that you say that line about movies. I mean, there's probably a handful of managers that I partner with in this. No agents. There's no agents. I mean, listen, they don't want to partner with me, just like I don't want to partner with them. But no agents at like CAA or WME. They don't want to partner with any of us. They want to do it on their own. Now, managers are a different story for a good part. They're looking for someone to partner with. So I have a group of managers that I work with that I find to be great. Now, do I do a lot of this stuff direct? Probably 90% of it is direct. And sometimes managers will ask me, they'll be, when they're looking for somebody, they'll be like, oh, well, maybe we'll just let WME do this. And I use that line where I say, they know about Comic-Cons as much as I know about the movie industry, which is nothing. I don't know what's supposed to be in a movie.
I know enough to know about the movie industry that I don't want to do it.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that. In fact, exactly. When God bless him, the late Rob Garrison was going to go get on Cobra Kai, he didn't have any representation. So they called me. And God, I didn't know what to do. I called Gaten Matarazzo's manager, Peggy Becker at Parkside Town. I was like, you got to help this guy do this television contract because I have no clue on how to do this. I don't want to lose it for him. So I think that everybody has a specialty, except I think in a lot of the cases, those guys at those big agencies don't respect our specialty because it was something that they thought was garbage for the longest time.
I've always heard the word carnies, that word carnies. Yeah. I heard, I think it was me and you, Rick, we were out one time and we had this one manager that we work with, and it's kind of funny because it's full circle stuff. Like, I think me and Sean, we had been in a couple like LA events at the same time, like Walking Dead stuff, things like that. I remember I ran into this manager that was like, what are you doing here? I was like, what are you doing here? You don't have anybody, you don't rep anybody at this show. And I remember getting word back that we were like these carny managers. Granted, I have no problem cashing a carny check every weekend. So I'm totally okay with that.
Well, I think they called us scabs at one point too. How are we the scabs when we built this industry?
Yeah. I said to an agent from a company that will remain nameless at one time, I told him when he was just like laying it out on how we were all, bottom of the barrel. What are you guys doing? And I said to him, I was like, you do this with a couple of people now. And I just want you to understand that you live in a house that we all built. Right. So I've been in this for, I think that this year is my 14th year. I remember going as a fan and seeing Sean set up tables. So he's certainly been doing longer than me. And I remember seeing Dom around the same time as me too. So that may be, and then, Fred maybe about like 7 or 8 years now.
Yeah.
Since Alamo began. And, we were putting all this stuff together when they were trying to tear it down. So don't come and jump up in a house that we built and pretend that you're going to put your feet up on the coffee table, because that's not how it's going to go down.
Yeah, it's 20 years for me this year.
That's a long time.
The first show I booked talent for was the Halloween 25th convention in 2003, and that's where it kind of springboarded from there.
I just always thought that it was ironic that when the money became to their liking and they saw that people were more mainstream people were doing this, and I cover that later. But here's the reality is this, Sean, you know this better than anybody, because I firmly believe that in 2013, Walking Dead convention appearances changed the way appearances were viewed by bigger celebrities.
Yeah.
Because up until then, it was, I'm not going to say any celebrity's not big, because they're all bigger than me. You do, one film and you're bigger than, in the film world than I am. So, but when people like Norman and Sarah and, just everybody, and John Bernthal and all those folks from Walking Dead started doing these, I think it legitimized it a little bit. And that's when agencies, I think, started to take notice of who's doing them. When they decided that there was enough money in it to be worth their while, I don't know. But that's the part that just turns me off about it, or about a lot of them, is, again, they never respected us, and they still don't. But now suddenly they respect what we do.
Yeah. But, the thing I always found fascinating is that none of those agencies were smart enough to reach out to us.
No.
They just hired a bunch of people internally, or maybe not even internally, that didn't know what they were doing, and said, let's open a personal appearance division. And they didn't know what the hell they're doing. Some of them, I think some of them have figured it out, but for the most part, they still don't know what they're doing.
No.
And the other thing is, you take an agency like a CAA, right? They have how many clients? Thousands of clients on, right?
At least.
I bet you they only, for conventions, they only pay attention to maybe the top 3%. All those other people are never going to get a call for a personal appearance, ever. Because they're not going to waste their time. The people at CA aren't going to waste their time with somebody who's only going to make them $1,000 in a weekend or something like that. You know, they want the Chris Hemsworths, the Chris Evans. They want the giant paydays. That's all they're looking for. So we're always going to have a piece of this market. They're trying to push us out, but they're never going to put the time into the smaller names. They just won't, you know.
No, because they're an incoming, you know that too. They're incoming calls. They're not on the phone calling, you know, this con and that con.
They're pitch clients.
Yeah. They're not out there pitching saying, hey, I got this new guy. No, they're going to wait, like you said, for that phone call for that $200,000 guy.
Yeah.
And then the guy, you know, my favorite part is when the promoter complains about that deal and goes, oh, fuck, I should have went to you guys for better deals. I'm like,
well, I was going to bring that up.
But like we've been doing, I mean, granted, I mean, I'm doing this 8 years now, right? But they all know this. They've been doing it because they've had these shows for 10, 15, 20 years. And they go, shit, we should have went with you guys. And we're like, no, go pay for 7 first-class flights and 3 suites and, you know.
You know what I wanted to add to that, though, that I always thought was just that would make me laugh is you could have somebody, and I'm sure every single one of us on this has gotten this telephone call, but you could have somebody that was sort of just okay, you know, that would do okay. I mean, Sean, you were repping Norman when he was just in Boondock Saints, and that's it. I remember being at a show with him and De La Rocca, and there were like 7 people in his line. You know what I mean? Maybe more than that, but certainly not what it became.
Yeah.
I just always thought that it made me laugh when you'd have somebody that was, you know, sort of mid-level in terms of earning power and you know, fan response, and then they would get something that's huge.
Yeah.
And now their manager or their agent didn't want anything to do with the Comic-Cons before, but now, now that they're huge, well, God, we got to get on this. Oh, you're our guy. Let us do it for you. And, you know, I'm sure it's happened before, but I've never had a client like, let's say, Billy Zabka, who is a perfect example in my life, who I've been working. He was my second client I ever had. We've been together for 13 years. Mm-hmm. And when Cobra Kai got gigantic, I'm sure that somebody on his team was like, oh, you should let us do this.
I got this deal for you.
Yeah, no, Rick's my guy. Sorry about that.
You know, perfect example of what you just said was John Bernthal. I've been working with Bernthal, you know, I met him through Walking Dead, through Norman and them, but his people didn't want anything to do with him back then. But when he got Punisher, suddenly WME's calling, and that Rosenfeld guy was up his ass like, you need to drop Sean Clark. And he was just like, bro, I've been with this guy for years. What are you talking about? This is my guy. And he wouldn't, I mean, that guy was relentless, would not leave him alone, trying to get him to fire me. And it's like, dude, don't you have a pool of like a couple thousand people you can pull from? Why are you trying to come after my guy?
Dom, did any of that happen with the Full House people?
No, surprisingly not.
They didn't. Other people came after them.
No. I mean, I was dealing with them direct, and none of their agencies really checked in. I kind of expected it with that.
Yeah,
but it didn't happen.
No, so perfect example about the big companies, you know, WME, CIA, all that, wanting to bring a show to somebody. They brought a show to one of my guys. He turns around, does the show, gets completely screwed. Screwed. Never wants to do a convention ever again. Took 4 years to convince him to do a show. Finally get him to do one. Then they come running back. Oh, no, we can get you shows. He goes, screw you guys. I have an appearance agent now. And that's another reason of why they hate guys like this. You know what I mean? When again, it's like, your job is to go get them on TV, get them a movie. That's your job. Our job is to handle this. And you know this, there are some that, like, you know, I know Rick, you directly like have some people you guys work with, like a manager, that when they get another client, they go, hey, Rick does really well, I'll hook you up. You know,
Sure.
that's how it should work, but of course it doesn't.
It should be like a referral. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
If you go to the dentist and you have a back problem, the dentist doesn't say, "Well, you know what? Let me see if I can fix your back." They say, "I know a good chiropractor."
Yeah.
It is referral.
Yeah. And man, and Dom, I mean, yeah, you kind of like struck gold there with that Full House thing. And then, what a just complete tragedy to have him pass away out of no, I mean, like right when you were starting to work with him. You did one show with him, right?
Yeah, one show, and I
Okay.
couldn't even go.
What's his name again? Is
Bob Saget.
Bob Saget. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was brain farting there on his name for a second. And that's something we're all having to deal with is losing clients. I mean, I know you've lost several, Dom. I lost a couple in the last year. And as we get older, those guys that were our heroes that are older than us, you start seeing them deteriorate and pass away. And it's just, it's something I never really thought about dealing with. And it sucks,
Yeah, well, that's kind of the double-edged sword of it. You get to know a different side of them, which is great. And you get to hear stories and you get to know them personally. But then the other end of the sword is, you lose them and it feels like a friend or a family member. As opposed to, man, I was a fan of that guy. It's a shame he's gone. You look at all the personal stuff that you shared. So,
but you do become friends with some of these people. Some of them, I have straight business relationships with. But then, I know you were super tight with Scott.
He's the best.
Yeah, and we all loved Scott. I mean, he was, he was amazing, and I was super tight with Ted White. I mean, but I knew, that was inevitable. The guy was 96. It was coming. But then I start thinking about my friendships with people like Tom Atkins or Nick Castle, who, Tom I think's 84. It's tough. It's tough to have to deal with that stuff. Have you lost anybody Fred? I know.
No, I haven't gone through that yet. No, I mean, the oldest guy I've worked with, Ron Perlman, and that dude's still rocking and rolling at 73. You go, holy shit. You know what I mean? And that's the thing too, is like back to like the friendship thing. We all kind of all been to dinners together. That's one thing people don't get to see is we do get to do, we work all day long, but sometimes we go to dinners. I mean, shit, me and Sean, we used to always go watch boxing fights. Me and Rick, I mean, we go out. I've been out to eat with Dom and Scott a bunch of times, So just in December, me and Rick went out with, one of my clients, one of his clients, and we make these friendships where we, especially us four on this, know like, okay, this is Sean's guy. This is, Dom's guy. We never crossed that barrier of talking shows and things like, this, like I'm buddies with Bernthal, you know what I mean? Like, things like that. And we have that professional, what's the word I'm looking for? We understand.
We follow the etiquette,
We follow the etiquette.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, you perfect example, Bernthal, like that's a buddy of mine. And but we never like, I'm not going to go pitch the dude a fucking show. You know what I mean? It's like, why? And that's the thing that in this business, we make friendships, but there's so many people that want to bring it down. You know what I mean?
Well, that's another topic I wanted to get to is loyalty and stealing and the fact that.
Hang on, this is Ron Perlman. I'll be right back.
What a comedian. No, it's like the four of us here. I think we have a code we follow that if I get a phone call from one of your clients or an email or vice versa, the first thing we do is reach out to each other and go, hey man, just letting you know, heads up, so-and-so just hit me up.
Yep. What's
happening there? And then we figure it out, I mean, 9 times out of the 10, I think we tell the client, hey, look, if they can't get you a show, I can't get, I mean, it's like we work with the same people,
Exactly.
And a lot of times this is what we deal with the egos that we deal with, is that it's never their fault. It's always our fault because, unfortunately in this business, if you're not a working actor who gets constant work, you're going to run the course eventually, the convention course. And then you're going to try to loop back around and they're going to be like, but then they don't want to hear that. Like, oh no, they passed on you. Wait, what? Why? Why? why are you not doing your job? No, they passed on you. You know, they don't want you for the 5th time. And you know, and unfortunately we deal with that, and most actors don't want to hear that they're not desirable. Clearly their representation isn't doing their job, and then you watch them bounce from agent to agent. It's like this cycle, you know. But we always respect each other and call each other and talk it out and figure it out. You know, sometimes one of us will say, bro, take them. If you can do better, go for it. Or it'll be like, you don't want to do that. You know, there's been times where I've regretted taking somebody. You know, I took somebody from Rick that, you know, he was kind of like, hey, you know, maybe you'll have a better chance. But I mean, not a whole lot. And it was kind of like, I probably should have just let that one be. But sometimes it makes sense when you have a specific cast, like you work with a cast and you can fit them in to, like, I had the Walking Dead thing, you have the ET thing, you have the Sons of Anarchy thing, you have the Cobra Kai Stranger Things. You know, it makes sense to be able to be packaged with some of those people, you know, and it's a better sell than, you know, somebody trying to just get added into these already pre-existing reunions, you know. But then also, as we've all learned, there's a point where you only want, it's probably only healthy to have so many of a certain cast, because you get to that point where most promoters don't want to probably go deeper than maybe 5 people from a specific show. And then there's that 1/6 guy that's always getting left out and he's pissed, you know. You know, I mean, I remember I offered Dom, I threw somebody to you that I thought you would jump on from a specific franchise, and you were like, nah. And I'm like, really? You got all the other people? And you're like, nah. And then you explained why, and I said, no, I get it. Okay, yeah.
This was me?
Huh? No, me.
Oh, Dom.
I was talking about the Dom, yeah. Oh, did I do that with you too, Rick?
Yeah, there was one time where you asked, hey, do you want to work with this person? And, you know, the person that we're talking about with you and I was a cast member of Walking Dead. And, you know, the problem was, you know, I wasn't considered to be this Walking Dead agent. You know, I hate to pigeonhole myself and say, okay, well, I'm this type of agent, or I rep these people, but it's, you know, we all have a large grouping of something. And I wasn't the Walking Dead guy. It was Sean, Dom a little bit. Dom actually had way more Walking Dead than me. And Juliet even had way more Walking Dead than me, right? Mm-hmm. So you guys controlled 95% of the market for Walking Dead. So I have this one person. Nobody's coming to me looking for Walking Dead people.
Yeah.
And if they were to come to me to look for her, and then I'm saying, okay, well, I got to come to the show or something. If she's a client that wants an agent there and can't go herself, well, then the promoter's like, oh, I got to buy a whole nother flight for a whole nother agent. I'll just take one other person from Sean, and I ain't got to buy another flight because there'll be a volunteer there for them. So when she called me and she's like, yeah, I think we're going to go with Sean. I'm like, yeah, that's what I would have done. that's probably where I would have gone if I was Walking Dead. I'd have gone to Sean too. So I called Sean and I was like, yeah, you know, this actress is going to be contacting you, her manager. And Sean respectfully is like, well, what do you want me to do? I was like, bro, take her, brother. I mean, you know, and at the time I didn't really know that it was going to be that big of a challenge to get her work, because, you know, Walking Dead at the time was in every show. You couldn't get enough.
Yeah.
Walking Dead every place.
I think the only reason I said yes at the time was because the unique situation I was in, which doesn't happen often, was there was Walking Dead only conventions that were all over the place. So yeah, could I pop her into all of these? Sure, but she kind of came in late to the game when they were all starting to kind of go away. So I was only able to get her in a couple, you know.
But I mean, to me, it made more sense if somebody from, you know, we all have that person that we try and, you know, bring along to the game too. Juliet reps all of these people from the View Askew universe, and whenever she books them, I go in with Joey Lauren Adams. Dom has everybody from ET. Whenever he books the trio, I contact the promoter. I'm like, hey, I got C. Thomas Howell. I don't think I have anybody that matches up with any of Fred or Gilbert's.
Yeah, we talked about something with the Monster-Mania, remember?
Oh, right. Yeah. With Monster-Mania as well. Yeah, so we all have like that person, you know what I mean? It's like, hey.
Oh, Sandy Johnson.
Me
Yeah,
Sean
you asked me to help her. Yeah.
Me and Sean, we just took a call last week about the Scream. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, I mean, but that's the good thing about literally us four. I mean, there's probably a couple more, maybe one or two, but maybe.
Well,
but
I mean,
that's what buddies do, though. I mean, again, at the end of the day, kind of two things. Is one about people with actual like us managers is there's enough clients to go around, right? That's one problem. Like when you see someone try to put, like, there's enough clients to go around, but we always do that and go, hey, thinking about doing this little miniature reunion, or your guys doing something, let's work something together. Me and Sean took that call last week, and he goes, well, this is the shows I'm doing, and I go, these are the shows I'm doing. I'm like, oh, perfect. Me and Rick, I took a phone call and I said, hey, this client I got, like, that'd be cool. Let me clear it. And we go, oh shit, they love each other. Like, let's do it. Yeah. And hopefully we get to make that work down the road. But that's the good thing, is it's better to have friends than enemies.
Exactly. Yeah, and I did the same thing with Rick with Dexter. He let my guys come along for the ride. Same with Thomas Ian Griffith for Cobra Kai. He could have shut that down if he wanted to. If like we had beef, he could have been like, "Fuck Sean Clark," So I mean. It's why you want to
said that anyway, and still said they could come.
Yeah,
I got pictures. I got pictures of Dan. That's why. Get it.
Yeah, we just had
he did.
What was it? Rhode Island. We just had Paul Hauser with Billy and Ralph in Rhode Island. Rick. Yeah.
I mean, there's a group of you that I collaborate with, all the time, and I probably talk to Gilbert Boyes every day on the phone, and we run down the list of just what shows, where are you going? Oh shit, I've never been to that show before. Can I get the contact? Yeah, of course you can. Yeah. Or
I got those calls from you guys.
Yeah, I just sent an email for Gilbert. But you're in every show, Sean. I should be calling you, asking you for some.
I know, no shit.
I've been hearing shit I haven't been at. Come on.
Yeah, I called you the other day, but there was a show that was looking for some people in Europe. This place called Heroes with this woman named Neil, who's a great promoter. And I said,
never worked with them.
Yeah, I was like, call Gilbert. I was like, Gilbert's got a bunch of headliners if you want, and get on the phone with them, and not coming out here, asking for half a commission, or you owe me this, or buy me steak dinner or something. Shit, we buy each other dinners anyway.
Whoever had the bigger weekends buying dinner.
Yeah, it's not like I'm owed anything. I don't care. I would rather further the business. I sent Dom an email the other day of this guy that's doing this stuff with movie theaters in Nashville with C. Thomas Howell. And he's like, oh, we need some people to come in. I was like, well, I'm going to hook you up with my buddy Dom. He's got a bunch of people from ET and a bunch of other people that match up with C. Thomas Howell. So let's do it. I don't want any money from Dom. I don't want it, want any of that stuff. But we were looking for, a word before to describe it. It's just collaboration with people.
And courtesy.
To share this, I lost a client some years ago in 2017. I actually lost a Stranger Things client. And the reason why I lost her was because her manager said that one of the ABCs, one of the agencies, was putting a ton of pressure on them to not use me and to use them.
Wow.
And I emailed that agent over there that ran things. I was like, hey, I already have like 6 or 7 events that want to bring her in. Why don't we collaborate with each other? And, I know for you guys, it's just about getting paid and the ego of it. So if you're involved, it quenches your ego. And if you're paid, you're 10% too, it quenches your pocketbook. So everything works out good. They literally sent me a go fuck yourself email. It literally said, go fuck yourself.
Was it innovative by any chance?
It was not innovative. No.
I've only lost one client to a big agency. And
that was innovative?
And it was innovative. And this was probably 5 years ago, maybe. I've never, ever, and I'm not lying, seen that guy in a convention ever again.
Well, I was gonna end my story with, this person has never done a show since. They did 2 shows with me in 2017, and they have never done a show since. And it's because WME is asking an outrageous amount of money and perks for them. Oh, you got to fly 6 of us in, and they need 2 suites, and they need, metal detectors to get in to see them, and they need all this stuff, and on top of it, pay them $250,000. Oh, we know they can only make 100,000 at the show, but we want $250,000. Oh, sorry, promoter. We don't care you're going to lose 150 grand the deal. That makes no difference to us. Where to me, to you guys, I don't want to see a promoter lose 150K.
Of course not.
I know how much someone can make at a show. I have a really good idea. Can almost predict that shit down to the dollar sometimes, what someone's going to make at a particular show. And
I don't just a small percentage of their business. The agencies, the conventions are a small percentage of their business, so they don't care if they go away.
Yeah,
it's nothing.
For us, it's our business. It's our
I just took a phone call. I just took a phone call literally 2 hours ago with this new potential client who tried 1 or 2 shows years ago. They told me they signed to do a show. They gave them a ridiculous amount of money, and I go, "Holy shit! I can't get that money. Like, no way. Like, and I kind of want to go to this promoter and say, hey, you're like overpaying for this person. Granted, it's not my job, it's not my client, but at the end of the day, like, they go and say, no, but you know this." They'll go and say, oh, I'll do that one show that pays me that high dollar, instead of saying, oh, I'll take 5 shows and do the medium and make more money, because someone will go overpay for that. I mean, we've seen that before. Someone goes and overpays for the new inter name,
Yeah.
And they go and offer them and they go, oh, well, so-and-so got me, 6 figures. I need 6 figures. And they go, yeah, but you didn't make 6 figures. And then that word spreads throughout promoters. Like, I mean, that is a shitstorm. It goes down and no one goes, nope, don't want them. And they go, well, shit, how come I can't get any shows now? No, you went in and had
you bankrupt somebody. That's why.
Yeah. You see, I mean, we've seen that. I mean, we did a show, and not to knock shows, but you guys know this. You know how, like, say a Comic-Con will have a big July show, and they go, man, I want to run a November show. That November show ain't the July show. And then they go, no, but I'm going to book a headliner into that October, that November show. Then they lose, 6 figures because they thought they could overpay. It's like, no, just have your big show. But I literally took that phone call today of somebody who ridiculously overpaid for his client. And I'm like, I can't get you that money, man. I know for a fact I cannot get you that money.
Yeah. And there's no worse feeling than having to go to the promoter at the end of the weekend and go, hey, they didn't hit their guarantee. Even if it's $500, I hate having that conversation because I feel my job as an agent, I work for 2 people. I work for the celebrity and I work for the promoter. I want to get them both good deals. I want everybody, because if we make it work and everybody's happy and everybody makes money, we'll keep doing it. We'll keep, it's return business. There's a particular agent, I'm not going to name his name, but you guys all know him, who for years is kind of known as the con killer, because he'll take advantage of newbies, throw big guarantees at them. They don't hit them. He makes them pay, and then they fucking lose their houses. They go bankrupt. Yeah. I want to help those small cons become big cons, because then they'll remember you. And they'll go, that was the guy that took a chance on me, Yeah. And they'll be loyal.
And we're assuming everybody who will be watching this knows what a guarantee is, because I think a lot of people think the actors are paid.
Yeah, what a guarantee is, nobody's getting flat fees anymore, I don't think. Unless it's just some ridiculous situation. But guarantees are usually paid generally only to headliners. Just as an assurance that you're going to make X amount of money, and the money you make from photo ops and autographs goes towards that guarantee. And if you don't hit that guarantee, the promoter is then on the hook for the difference. So if you had, let's just say, a $10,000 guarantee, you only made $5,000, that promoter has to come out of pocket $5,000 to pay that celebrity. Me personally, I only ask for guarantees from shows I'm worried about. The shows I know are killer, like Horror Hound or Steel City or Texas Frightmare or whatever, I'm not going to ask them for guarantees, because I know if you can't make money there, you can't make money anywhere. All right.
Yeah. I think we have 13 people in MegaCon, and we had 22 or 23 people in Dallas Fan Expo. I'm not taking a single guarantee.
I don't have any guarantees on my people in MegaCon.
Yeah, no, you just know. Like, no,
Yeah,
you cannot make money in mega.
I don't have any
That's a
books.
show. That's a show where someone who does 2 days goes, I'll do 3 days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Here's the tough part, the juxtaposition with that is that you have people at those shows that you've had and that trust you. They know you know what you're doing, right? Yeah. So if I went to a client that I've had for 10 years and I say, brother, listen, we're gonna go do Steel City Con. You're gonna kill it. We don't have to worry about a guarantee of any kind. They're like, yeah, okay, Rick, man, whatever you say. We've been doing you wouldn't steer me wrong. But you try to get like somebody new, right, to go into a show like that and not take a guarantee. It can be difficult sometimes because they're like, well, yeah, but I need to have it on the books. I have to have it. I have to have the guarantee. It makes me feel better. I'm like, yeah, but you're going to triple that amount that you want. Well, I don't know that. Yeah, but I do. But you if you know it, then you guarantee it to me. And you're like, and I've done that before. I've actually guaranteed clients money myself.
I've done that before.
Yep.
I've done that before.
Done it before, and I put it, I put it in writing too. Not like somehow I'll do it. I put it in writing where the guarantee is going to come from Iconic Inc. management. I've never had to pay that money out ever. No. Never.
Yeah. No.
Because I just knew. You know what I mean? I just knew that's the part, and I guess we're still on the agencies. That's the part that makes me laugh about the agencies, because that's the piece that they don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know what's a good show and what's not. If they have somebody that's supposed to get 50, 60, let's say they got somebody that's supposed to get $100,000 and Steel City or Monster-Mania calls them, they don't realize that they can make that money there. And they ask the same thing from East Peoria Comic-Con or, and they don't realize that they can walk into East Peoria Comic-Con and not make that money, but they could go into Monster-Mania or Texas Frightmare or someplace and make that money.
Yeah, they don't know the market.
They have no clue on the market. They don't even know who to contact.
I'm sure to somebody like them, these, pencil pushers over there at the agencies, they look at, whatever, East Peoria Comic-Con, Monster-Mania, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. They'd probably go, Comic-Con one sounds more official. Yeah. That one sounds more legit, right?
Oh, yeah.
They'd be like, that's the one we want to do. They wouldn't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's, hopefully I'm not stepping on any feet, but like we did the Christmas con, and people go, Christmas con.
I had zero faith in that.
No, true story, man. We did Christmas con, and I was like, Christmas con. And I talked to Wolf, Alex Wolf. Talked to Wolf. He goes, dude, it's a banger. I go, really? I put Mario Lopez in that. Dude, his line insane. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, it's a banger. I mean, you know how it is. Like, not every show is Salt Lake. You know what I mean? Not every show is but you go to a show, like I've said this before, like with Rick, Steel City Con. It's a smaller show, but it's a banger. Cherry Hill. I got Charlie Hunnam doing Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things. It's our job to know the market, but it's also to know the show. Yeah. Because you can go to a big market, you can go, I'll pick a market, like a Boston, right? You go to Boston and say there's a show in Boston. You're like, oh, it's a good market, but man, they don't spend in Boston, but they spend 30 minutes away. You know what I mean? Things like that. Yeah. People always assume Detroit. They're like, oh, it's Detroit. It's a pretty solid Detroit show there. You know what I mean?
Well, that's where those agencies, if I was going to say to them, oh, who's producing a film? If you said to me the name of somebody producing a film, I don't know whether they have money or not. Yeah. I have no idea whether that would be a good person to have attached to a movie money wise. So again, I keep going back to it. They know their thing. I know my thing. It's just unfortunate, sometimes that they just don't feel like collaborating at all. But now the agencies don't have. Dom said this to me on the phone. I remember this clearly. When COVID started, and we were all just drinking. It was like the industry's ruined. Our whole industry's ruined. And I got on the phone with Dom because Dom was starting up his virtual thing that he was doing. He was going to do it himself, and we were chatting about it. And one of the things I was like, man, this is going to change the industry so much. And Dom said it. Dom's like, you know what? He goes, it's going to make the agency people go away. And he was almost all of those agency people with very few.
They all collapsed. They all collapsed.
They're not going to keep them on the payroll.
Yeah, because there was no need for them anymore, right? They couldn't think outside the box. Me and and Dom and JR and from Zobi Productions and Gilbert. I mean, we were going out doing private signings, setting all kinds. I know Sean was setting up private signings, Fred was setting up private signings.
Yeah.
I thrived during COVID. 2020 was actually a pretty good year for me. So was 2021. Dom said that they were going to be gone, and literally 90% of those folks got let go during that time because there wasn't any need for them, you know. So I thought that was interesting that that's something that.
Fortunately, they're all coming back though.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
but they're different people now, and now they need time to gear up again. You know, when the dude from WME got let go, they replaced him with somebody else eventually, but he needed years to kind of, you know, get rolling and trying to figure it out. And again, they mess up more deals than they actually complete. So to me, it doesn't, you know, it doesn't really matter.
Well, the other thing is none of those people at those agencies will actually come to the shows and see if it's successful or not and work. You know, they literally will just ship people out. I've heard stories of these agencies shipping celebrities to shows, no handler, no photos, no banner, no nothing. Just like, oh, what I thought you took care of that to the promoter, you know, and that then usually in that situation, one of us is there to be the nice guy that helps out and that situation.
I mean, Dom, isn't that how? Hopefully, I'm not stepping over. Isn't that how you ended up with Billy Zane? They shipped him out, and he got pissed, and he's like, "Well, you seem like you know what you're doing," and he signed with you.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right? I think we were in the same car together.
He had a broker.
We were. Yeah, that's right. We were in a car together. We were in Wales Comic-Con, and the guy was just so pissed because the broker, he actually was there, but he wasn't doing shit.
He was sitting in the green room all weekend.
Yeah, he was in the green room. I remember this. He wasn't doing shit.
Yeah. And
Billy was talking to. I had never met Billy's name before, and me and Dom were all, you know how it is. We're all at the same hotel and shit like that.
Yeah.
And he was telling Dom, I don't quote me word for word, but he was like, "Well, fuck, you seem like you know what you're doing. Like, I'm cool."
I approached him and I told him he was underpriced.
Yeah.
And he goes, "What do you mean?" And I said, "There's like voice actors over there charging double what you're charging. You're Billy Zane." Yeah. And he goes, "You're right. I am Billy Zane." And I said, "You could make this much money. I could get you 5 shows right now.
Yeah.
We could make this much." And he's like, "Here's my number. Let's do it."
You just needed Zoolander there to be like, "You should be charging more, Billy Zane."
Sounding like Trump.
I don't know. I'm working on my Zoolander impersonation.
Right.
Then that's how I got Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I mean, obviously I had the Norman to put in the good word, but he was at a show completely pissed off that nothing was done right and wasn't getting anything. They didn't send anybody to work with him, and he saw Norman with like a team running around him, you know. And I said to him, I go, "Hey, you know, if you want, I can get one of my girls to sit with you for the weekend and take care of it." And Nicole, I said to her, I go bag that big fish, and she did. You know, I mean, she made sure he was stoked. And at the end of the weekend, he's like, "I want this kind of service," you know.
I got Jennifer Carpenter that way. Yeah. I was at a show with Jennifer Carpenter. I had Caleb McLaughlin from Stranger Things at a show, and I walked and my wife was a huge Dexter fan, bigger than me, and I liked it. And I knew I want to see if I could take a picture with her, which I never do. I never take pictures with anybody. So I could send it to my wife. So I walked over to her table, and she had a single black and white headshot on the table. And I said, "Man, well, how come you don't have any Dexter pictures or Exorcism of Emily Rose?" And she's like, "Oh, I asked that, and my agency said, well, there's no licensing for any of those photos, so they can't be here on the table." I was like, "Oh, so do you plan on selling anything?" And people would go up to her table and then scurry away real quick because they had to go find a photo on the floor, that's being sold,
or poster or something.
Yeah, and we ended up chatting in the green room, and she saw I was attentive with Caleb and knew exactly when their car was going to be there, what time their flight was going to be, what time lunch was, what time their photo ops were, how many photo ops they did, when we're getting paid, all that other jazz. And she's like, "Hey, here's my telephone number. Call me next week, and let's talk." And boom, that was, I don't know, like 6 or 7 years ago or something. But You know, I think everybody has a story like that where you just, you know,
it's kind of being like right place, right time stuff too, you know. I mean, that's how I ended up with Rose. That's the guy, or not the guy. This is what I called Sean about Rose McGowan because of Scream. I was at a show with her. Dude, I never met Rose McGowan in my life. Literally sat next to me in a green room. I'm there with my assistant, and I'm telling him like, you know, go do this shit, go do that, blah blah. You know, just work stuff. And she goes, "Oh shit, you kind of seem like you know what you're doing." She's friends with Holly Marie Combs, who goes, "Hey, Rose wants to talk to you." I talked to Rose, and she was like, "Hey, I need someone who knows what they're doing." And I said, "Shit, cool."
And don't you think that falls on the talent too, to call you and say, "Hey, there's other agents approaching me"?
Well, I think it's both. I think it's both, man. Yeah, because, like, perfect example, like Jason Patrick was with Damien, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jason Patrick called me, and I like Damien. Got zero problems with Damien. I called Damien and said, "Hey, man, Jason Patrick called me, said it's just not working out. I want to know what's up." And he goes, "Ah, fuck, man." He goes, "You know what? If you want him, you know, yeah." Same with Amy Jo Johnson, the Pink Power Ranger. And I guess they had a falling out, and he goes, you know, not so many words. He's like, "Fucking take her." And, you know, but I've always made that phone call. Granted, the people that don't make those phone calls they're not in here. Mm-hmm. That's the truth. You know what I mean? Like, if fucking Ron Perlman didn't want to work with me tomorrow and he called fucking Rick, I know Rick's gonna fucking call me. Like, we know that shit. It's the people here. And I've had this deep conversation, especially like over COVID. And I've said this shit over COVID. When you realize who were your friends and your enemies and what you did need in this world and what you didn't need, you know what I mean? The fucking stress and the headaches. And I'm not to get too deep, but you go, fuck, I don't need these headaches. Fuck that. Like, I don't need to go through this headache of bullshit. Yo, you're not happy? Fucking go. Go with someone who's going to make you happy. I just fired a guy. You were there, Rick. I fired a guy at Steel City, and a guy that everybody goes, "Holy shit, I'm surprised you worked with that guy for fucking so long as you did, the way you are." And I said, "You know, yeah, everybody fucking." And I was like, "You know what, dude? My life's too fucking short to be stressed out." I'm like, we all know, and not ego, because there's so many fucking egos in this business. We all make very good money. We're very blessed to do what we do, whatever, right? But the fucking headaches, nah, I'm done with that, man. I think we've all hit a level that we go, once you hit that level and say, we're doing good, we don't need those fucking headaches.
Yeah.
But it's so many fanagers, which I love. We all love that. The fanagers that want to send those emails and want, "Hey, I got this show, I got this person." Only those clients who don't have your back are the ones that are going to take those emails. Yeah. They're the ones that are going to take those fucking emails and say, "Oh, this guy's got me a con in buttfuck Mississippi." I'm like, "Oh, cool, have fun."
And it always comes back around that they'll go do those shitty little cons with those fanagers, and then they'll come back like, "Oh, hey, you know, I see Whorehound's doing another show," or they're like, "Yeah, well, yeah, maybe exactly. See if Chris give him a call."
Yeah,
you know, you know, best of luck to you. You know,
they have a really good coffee shop in Buttfuck, Mississippi, by the way.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I feel like I've lost more people that have been stolen from me. I have had a couple of clients actually poached. You know, Chris Majors was one of them that did it. Mm-hmm. But I feel like that client was unsatisfied with what was happening with us. So I've always said this, and I've said this to clients before too. If you're never not going to be happy with the quality of my work while I'm doing the booking process. I always have good pictures. I always got a nice banner. I always am either there or have an assistant there. I always know the event. So I know what the hotel is going to be like, what the venue is going to be like, what the spacing is going to be like. I've had very few people who have done the events that said, "Man, Rick, you suck."
Yeah.
But I have had people say, "You don't get me enough." And the fact that you don't get me enough, I'm going to go with somebody else. And for the most part, those talents have been correct. I mean, I haven't gotten them enough, but it certainly wasn't for a lack of trying. And that's the part that bothers me. If anything bothers me about the process, is that person thinks that I wasn't trying, or that somebody else was more important than me, or you just want to book Gaten Matarazzo and Caleb and Finn and Billy Zapka and Martin Cove. You don't care about me because I don't make enough money, which isn't true at all. I've booked people that have made a fraction of that and still put in the same exact effort as if I was booking
the same attention, everything.
Yeah. So I've had a couple of people leave me. I had somebody just recently leave me that ended up going with Chris Carbaugh. Now, Chris called me and he's like, listen, brother, I had this actress call me. She wants to work with us because we also represent a friend of hers. What's up? If you tell me, hey, man, I would appreciate if you didn't do that. He goes, I'll step back and I'll call her and say, hey, man, I can't do it. And I was like, listen, man, I haven't gotten her a lot. I haven't. And now we travel in the same, same convention world. So I don't know if you're going to be able to do it instead of me, but if she feels that I haven't gotten her enough, which I haven't, and she wants to try somebody new, hey, man, yeah, and you want to take her, go ahead and do it. Now, the part that bothered me about the whole thing was he booked her at, I think, at least 2 different shows to promoters that I pitched her to over and over and over again. They always said, no. Oh, no. We need something bigger from you. We need Gaten, or we need Caleb. We need Finn. We need Billy. We need Marty. We need Peyton List. We can't take that person. And I'm like, I mean, what am I supposed to do? It's their show, right? I can't force somebody.
Yeah.
And then those promoters took her from Chris. So I was like, damn, now I look like an idiot. Now you just made valid exactly what she thought. She thought that I wasn't working hard enough, and now you just went and brought her 3 shows and brought her in, and now she thinks that that's the truth, even though I pitched her to these people.
Yeah.
So that part bothers me a little bit, but there's nothing I can do about it in the end. I have had a couple people poached, and I let those agents know that I knew what happened and that I was coming. that someday, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next week, maybe not next year, but you're going to be like, shit, I shouldn't have done that. Now I look back, I probably shouldn't have done that.
I was at a show with Sean. I don't know if you remember this, Sean. We were in Colorado Springs, where I fucking live, and there was a girl who was emailing your clients, and you went up there and talked to her, and you told her about it.
I mean, I'll say her, or I did.
No, Sean did.
Oh,
Sarah Elm.
Oh,
you remember that? She was emailing your clients. She was emailing your clients and offering them shows, and you went and told her. Which again, we got to be careful because we can't look like bullies. You know what I mean? Yeah. But you went up and you were like, "Hey, you got these fucking shows. Why aren't you telling me? I fucking work with them."
Yeah.
And I remember that.
Well, a lot of these people, they think they can just do these things with and just hide behind their computers, and there'll be no repercussions.
Find out.
Yeah, it's like, you know what? I'm not going to sit in the same room with you and let you think that I don't know what you're up to. I'm going to at least let you know, hey, I'm watching. I see what's going on here. I'm getting forwarded these emails, so be aware.
I do like too what Dom said too, is sometimes you got to blame the client a little bit too, because they can't be coached. They can't be poached if they don't want to be poached. You could have 60 agents go up to Martin Cove, and Martin Cove's going to laugh at every one of them. Like, yeah, I'm not leaving.
Yeah.
But you're going to have, so those people that decide to leave you, they let themselves get poached in a way. For whatever reason it is.
That's the thing though. They don't know. They don't know. Like, back to Chris Majors. If he walks up and promises them all this stuff, it sounds good, doesn't it? You want to offer them 5 Days of the Dead shows in 5 different cities. Wow, that sounds impressive. 5 shows, 5 cities. Doesn't mean they're any good. I mean, go find out. You want to find out why I don't work with them? Go find out for yourself. It is what it is.
Huh? That's also what happened with Chris and the person that he took from me. And that client called. Well, they only called me because I called them out on getting booked at a show. I saw this actor get booked in an event. I'm like, that's weird. Don't remember booking him there. And I called the actor. I'm like, what happened? He goes, I'm working with this new guy now because you just don't get me enough events. I was like, all right, well, listen, I said, I don't share clients. I said, so if that's what you want to do, then you're with him. You're with Chris now. You get that, right? I'm not pitching you to any shows, nothing. And he's like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Boy, did he turn up at some tankers. I mean, I don't know what he made at these shows, but man, I know the events, and he turned up at some tankers.
Yeah.
So, I guess, I'm not going to sit here and be like, ha ha, I'm not pointing at anybody, but I'm like, well, sometimes, it's like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, right? Be careful what you wish for. Just might get it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's unfortunately they kind of sometimes have to learn for themselves. And it's usually, let's face it, it's usually the smaller names that we're dealing with this shit with, because, the good ones, we get them the good shows, they make the good money, they're happy. The smaller names, they're the ones that are a little more desperate for all of it. Some of them might just be purely ego driven. They just like to be seen. They like to have, they probably get laid and have a good time, get drunk, whatever.
Stop talking about Dom again.
But that's the thing. It's like, are we going to bust our asses to do all that we do to put somebody in a tiny little show that they're going to make $1,000?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, not 1,000, but I mean, listen, if someone, I've always said, if there's somebody that wants to do a show and I know that you're going to make $3,000, $4,000, to me, that's a small amount, $3,000-$4,000.
Yeah.
Then you could go, but I'm not coming.
Yeah.
I'll set it all up for you from my house and get the flights booked for you, but you got to go yourself.
Yeah, but I mean, let's face it, $300 or $400 might be worth making those calls. But when you start talking about a 10% commission on $1,000, you're gonna make $100. Yeah. My time's worth more than $100.
I spent more on those fucking pictures.
Yeah. If it becomes a lost leader, if you're gonna lose money on it, then no, it's not worth it. And the thing is that I look at, again, I say the same thing, and you guys could all say this, is that we all put the same effort into every event. There's check boxes that you have to do for every single event. I got to get your flight booked. I got to ship you photos. There's a banner. There's all this stuff that it doesn't change event to event. It's the same thing. So if you're going to make XYZ at one show, then the expectation is you want to make XYZ at another show. And one of the things that I said to this person that went with Chris, we've been together for a really long time, and I had a very candid conversation with him. I said, listen, man, I said, you're unhappy with the number that you make at a show, but brother, that's your number. Yeah. When you go to a Monster-Mania, a Steel City Con, and like 2 or 3 other good ones, and you make X amount of dollars, that's your high watermark. You're not going above that. Yeah. So if you're unsatisfied with what you make at Monster-Mania, then boy, you're going to be really unsatisfied with what you're going to make at, another one of these, smaller events. So sometimes, stop blaming me, blame your IMDb page. Yeah. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's your work that.
I took a client to Motor City in 2017, 2018. He's like, oh man, I'm not making shit. And I'm like, and I get it. Like, sometimes you don't make it. And he goes, man, I'm just not making anything, man. Well, they didn't promote me right. And you want to, this, you can't just go be like, hey, man, you got to be better. Like, I don't know what to tell you. But if you can't make money at that show, this is what your number needs to be.
This is one of my favorites. One of my favorites is when and you've all experienced this, when a client comes up to you and says, hey, man, they're doing bad. Dude, everybody's telling me they didn't know I was going to be here. Did they not promote me for this? Everybody. And it's like, what they don't understand is there's like these certain things that fans will walk up to a celebrity to have a conversation. And one of them is, oh, I didn't know you were going to be here. That's their way of saying, I didn't come prepared to buy something from you. Yeah. So I now want a free conversation with you.
Yeah.
And it's not that they didn't know you were going to be there. You were promoted. You're on the website. Everybody knows you're supposed to be here. Don't listen to what that fan is telling you about, oh, I didn't know you were going to be here. It's such a line that it's such bullshit.
Yeah, it's an scapegoat line.
I've been kind of on a crusade recently to get promoters to stop posting prices. because I've come to find that my clients are going to those websites, looking at everybody's prices, comparing, and wanting to raise their prices. So I think that posting prices ahead of time on websites, obviously you can't get around photo ops because they pre-sell those. But for shows that aren't pre-selling autographs, I just feel like it's hurting the industry because it's pushing everybody up. You know what I mean?
Well, if you look, literally everybody has raised prices. Everybody.
I know.
I don't think I have a client across the board, and you're talking, 100 at least, that have not raised their prices. Yeah. Granted, we do have some other voice actors and stuff other voice actors that weren't primetime were like, hey, I'm going to charge $25 for a pop. I'm going to charge this. I'm going to charge that. And you go, oh, shit, this is going to trickle down. I knew it. I told Gilbert, who's my business partner, I said, this is going to trickle down. Watch, give it less than a year. And sure enough, man, it's $75 for this, or a voice and message and a video message and all this stuff, to where it wasn't like that. But because other people started doing it and then they started posting it. But yeah, I agree. I mean, with the exception of photo ops. I mean, granted,
it helps the attendees because they can plan their budget.
Yeah.
But I think that's the only good thing about it.
I went to my first convention in 1988. All right, I'm old. All right. And I went to conventions for over a decade. Never once did they post a price for anything. I came with the money I was able to spend.
My budget,
Yeah. I mean, this whole I need to budget shit out. If you need to budget shit out, you shouldn't be coming. All right. You know what I'm saying? You go there, you get the autographs from the people you want, and that's that. This is how you should budget your shit out. These are the people I want to meet. Put them in order. When you run out, then you got the top ones. Okay. I think you're only hurting yourselves. The fans are hurting themselves by wanting the prices posted, because I guarantee you, even it could be the dumbest thing, man. It could be fucking Friday the 13th, part 8, victim number 9, that has their price set at something, and you got a guy like Billy Zane sitting across from him going, why is that person more expensive than me? I don't even know who that is. Do you know who I am? And then they're like, then I should be more than him. And then it's like, it's this pissing contest. You know what I mean? And that can happen at a show. That can happen at a show. But on the website, if it's there, because I started getting calls from clients going, oh, I went to the website and I saw the prices. Why am I the cheapest person? Like, oh, fuck. Really? And I say to them, I said, have you been happy with the money you've been making? Yeah. Well, why fix what's not broken? Well, I mean, I should be charging more. Okay, well, if you charge more, you may sell less. Those people that might have bought 2 things will only buy 1. And it might even itself out. At the end of the weekend, you may make the same amount of money. But guess what? At a lower price, you were more busy. You were having more fun. People have more fun when they have a line. They don't have fun when they're sitting at an empty table, I mean, so I don't know. Rick, you seem like a deer in the headlights on this one. What are your thoughts on? You're not saying a damn thing.
I don't know how to think about shows posting pricing, because they only started posting pricing essentially when social media came about. I mean, prior to, let's say, 2005. I mean, I think Facebook came out in 2003 and started to get popular around 2005. I used to go to Chiller Theater in the mid 90s, and I mean, hell, I didn't know how much people were going to be, and I didn't even know if that price was going to get me 1 autograph or 10. I mean, I went to believe it or not, the very first celebrity show I ever went to was a Chiller Theater show, and I went because Mako, who played the Wizard, and Conan the Barbarian was going to be there, and he had a sign on his thing for $15 for an autograph, and I paid him the $15, and he signed 9 items for me. And I'm like, oh, shouldn't I give you times 9? And he goes, no, this is just the price. I'm like, oh, wow, okay. Thanks, man. And then, but Adam West, if he looked at you across the way, it was $20.
First celebrity I ever paid for, Adam West, 1993.
Adam West, yeah. So, I realize the problem that posting pricing causes. I also realize that the fans do want to know how much it is so that they could budget and get, a certain amount of money. But I think that even when you get to the show, people will look across at each other and see how much they are and be like, well, wait a minute, I want to charge that. And that's the worst thing that you could see, where somebody crosses out their price on their sign and puts a higher price in it.
Well, that's something I absolutely tell any of my clients they can't do.
Yeah, you
can't change a price mid-show.
I told people before you can't do it. But I said to a client one time that had asked me about going to this. I'll try and keep this short, but I had a client that wanted to go up in price to be even with his other people that were in the show. And I was like, listen, I said, you're at the perfect price.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to him, it was between $40 and $50. And I was like, let me ask you a question. Would you rather sell one autograph for $50 or 3 autographs at $40? And he sat there and thought for a minute. And he goes, 1 autograph at $50. I was like, no, wait. Let me say it again. 1 autograph for $50, 3 autographs at $40 a piece. And he sat there and thought. He goes, 1 autograph at $50. I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, you realize the other one, you make $120. He goes, yeah, but I got to work 3 times as hard. I'm like, well, maybe this logic isn't but we raised his price to $50, and I tracked it for like 5 shows. And then I went back to him and said, listen, man, you made a couple $1,000s less at each one of these shows at $50 than when you were at $40. So you got to go back to the other price. People are literally skipping over you and going to someone else because they think the price is too much. Mm-hmm. We've all said that before. I still believe that this is a meet and greet business. You get the autograph people that come in that just want the autographs, but they're buying an autograph because they know that that's the chance they get to take to meet you.
Yeah.
Well, not to meet me, but to meet the talent.
Yeah.
So those people, if you look at, some of the talent that rushes people along, or some of the managers and agents that don't allow people to linger for a second and say something, those people feel like they wasted their money, whether it was $20 or whether it was $100. So if someone gives you a good experience, when people pay to meet Gayton, I have never in my life seen a bad post about Gayton Matarazzo.
Yeah.
From a fan. Say, oh man, meeting him stunk, meeting him was awful, that kid didn't pay. That kid treats every single person like they're the biggest fan and he's their biggest fan.
Yeah.
And he takes a long time with each person. We got to rush him along sometimes, but no one complains about his price either. I could probably charge $100 for him and no one would care because they get a great experience meeting him. Now, on the other hand, I got some people that maybe are not so great to meet and people complain about their pricing sometimes. So to go back,
I want to add something. Sorry, Rick, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
I think, advertising the pricing in advance helps now because so many places that people go to are cashless, and they come to a con and they're like, oh, you guys don't take credit, and half of the ATMs are down by the end of Friday at these venues.
Yeah.
So I think, it also helps let them know how much cash to bring, unless, we all start taking credit cards. I mean, I've seen that many times where people are like, oh, I don't have the cash. I have to come back. And then, most of them come back or they have to go through obstacles to find an ATM or get cash somewhere. So
and these shows need to do something about the ATM situations. I mean,
they should have one on the show in the celebrity area.
I mean, Horror Hound, I have to give Horror Hound mad props. They're innovators. I don't think any other show does this. Horror Hound has their own ATMs they bring in for the show, and they stock with money.
Wow.
Yeah, Jeremy bought a bunch of ATMs. That's what you go to a Horror Hound con, you're never, the ATMs will never be out.
The only con I've seen that for sure has them right there that I remember were Salt Lake and MegaCon. That are literally in the celebrity area, because sometimes you look and you go, what fucking line is that? And you go, oh, it's the ATM line.
Yeah.
There are a lot of celebrity areas. I've seen them in more than one location, but a lot of times
they need more though.
And then they're gone, and they run out or they break down.
Yeah.
So I'm just to finish up my thought. I'm neither for nor against it. I see the problems that it causes, but I also see the advantages to it as well. But then you also run into an issue where let's say you have a client that has a base price and then they charge more for a pop, charge more for a poster, charge more for a die-cast car, charge more for something else. Then the fan is kind of fooled because they're like, oh, I only thought it was $50. Oh no, sorry, this person
or
100 for full posters.
Or what if that you get to the show and that celebrity says, oh yeah, I'm raising my price, and they didn't tell you. It's like, well, you've been advertised at this. And they're like, well, no, it's that. And then you're getting complaints all weekend. Dude, the website said then the promoters come up to you. You told me so-and-so was charging this. And it's like, I can't, I'm not, you know, what do I do? You know, I'd rather avoid that situation. They walk in, there's their sign, no complaints. It is what it is. You know,
what could happen too is, you know, some of these people book early, you know, they book the day after their other show is over. And let's say you have a guest that, you know, let's say I brought Jenna, I don't rep Jenna Ortega, but let's say I brought Jenna Ortega to a show, you know, in October of last year, and she was announced for a show this March.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? Jenna Ortega isn't going to be the same price that I said in October of last year that she would be in a show this March.
Exactly.
It's going to be way more money in that. So sometimes, you know, you got to go back and listen, there's such a thing as overpricing as well. So this is a story that I don't even mind telling because you know it and we've joked about it before. But there was a point at Texas Frightmare Weekend, Nev Campbell's very first show, the very first show she ever did. She was way overpriced, massively overpriced. And
did not work with me. Let's clear that part up. She wasn't working with me yet.
She was but that's because we laugh about this because she was working with another agent who had her grossly overpriced
and in a private room where nobody could see her.
We called it the Fortress of Solitude. Remember that?
Yep. Yeah.
They're like, where's Nev Campbell? She's in the Fortress of Solitude. Nobody could get to her. And they were literally at one point on a Saturday afternoon begging people on the microphone to get in her line.
Yeah.
Begging people like, please come get Nev Campbell. And people will come and they'd see the price and they're like, oh my God, not a chance am I going to pay that. I almost want to say it was like $80 something.
I think it, and now mind you, this was like 20, what year was that?
2015 maybe?
So no. I think she was 75 just for an autograph.
Something like that.
She still isn't even that high now.
But then you get her. And you rationalize her price down to an equitable amount. Try not to wait 6 hours to meet Nev Campbell now at a show.
Yeah.
Because, and it's not because she's any more or less nice. I'm sure she was wonderful at that Texas Frightmare event. She's probably really nice. She doesn't have more or less of a breadth of her popular work. The people that are getting her lines still want the craft. They still want Scream. They still want those same things. But just the sense of the price where someone says, oh, now it's worth it for me to go and meet Nev Campbell. I almost want to say for some reason that Dom had items for Nev Campbell to sign and you thought she was so pricey. You were like, you know what? I'm only going to get one instead of the 4 that I wanted. Right. Am I right about that?
Yeah, you were.
Yeah. I remember him mentioning it to me at the show. And he's like, Dom was like, if she was a better price, I would have spent more money.
The crazy thing,
$100 on 4 items.
I tripped over a tumbleweed and got my Scream poster signed.
Also, I am a firm believer that out of sight, out of mind. If you can't see the person, you're not going to want to meet them. And if you got them locked up in a room or behind a curtain, you know, some celebrities want to be behind a curtain, you know, because you walk by and you see, you know, Nev Campbell and you're like, oh my God, there she is. Let's go say hi. Let's go meet her. You want to meet them. But if you don't, you're walking by a room that you can't even catch a glimpse of her. I was there that weekend, all 3 days. I never laid eyes on the woman. All right.
Never saw her.
If you can't see her,
the gym.
Yeah, you're not gonna, you know, if you can't see the cookie in the container in front of you, you're not going to want to eat it. You know what I mean? You're going to walk past it. You know what I mean? You'd be like, oh, I want that cookie. Damn, that cookie looks good. You know? I mean, that's how the fat thing works, right? That's why we eat. But it's the same thing with autographs. You know, I remember one time I was at a show, Robert Patrick put up a curtain in front of him, right? And he was getting no play. It was at Motor City Comic Con.
Yeah, I remember that.
And he walks up to me because I've known him. He was in my movie like way back when. So I've known him a long time. He walks up to me and goes, hey, he goes, I'll ask you a question. What do you think of that over there, the curtain? And I go, honestly? And he goes, yeah. I said, I think it makes you look like an asshole. And he goes, seriously? I go, yeah. What the fuck are you behind a curtain? I go, everybody else you can see. I said, if they can't see you, they're not going to want to meet you. You know, if they can see you, they're going to want to come up to you. Going behind some curtain? I mean, you don't know what you're going to get in there, you know? And he's like, yeah, oh, yeah, all right, you're right. And he took it down. And afterwards he said that was the right move. You know, he started getting busy. And it's, you know, you just never know with these people, you know. I mean, they try things.
That wasn't his first show. Like he had done other shows. The crazy thing about that was that wasn't his first show. But why did he randomly decide, I want to try curtain at this show?
I don't know.
He saw somebody else do it.
Maybe at another show. Who knows?
I mean, I know Val Kilmer had one, but we all know why Val Kilmer had one.
Yeah, that's different.
You know, that's what I'm saying. He had one because he had his nurses, and you know, the guys, you know, went and did that. But yeah, you just kind of look like a dickhead if you're out there with your fortress.
Harry Elwes has one. I still don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know what that's all about.
And I know Kerry too. And I was going to ask him one time. And I just thought better of it. I'm like, we're having a good time.
And I think he's such a nice guy too.
No, he's super nice. I had dinner with him. Awesome. I had dinner with him in Salt Lake City. I did in Salt Lake City. Never met him before.
He people taking candids from far away.
Oh, is that the reason?
Yep.
Yeah. But there's also, I mean, I'm sure we all have one. Clients that refuse to sit at an empty table. When their line ends, they want to go to the green room.
Yeah.
And you know, and I know Fred, you have one for sure. I can think of, I know, you know, but I mean, Roddy Piper, when I used to work with Piper, he was that way. He would not, when his line ended, he's like, let me know when there's a line. But the problem is a lot of these guys don't understand. If you're not at the table, people aren't going to line up.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard.
Either have people that they queue for, or they just come up. And I have a client that, man, as soon as you said that, he popped into my head as soon as you said it. And I told him once, I'm like, brother, people don't queue for you. But you see when you're out, they're like, oh, shit, he's here. And you'll get 40 people in your line.
Yeah.
I say, but once you go through that 40, just do me a favor, man. Just give it 5 minutes out here. I promise you, 5 minutes. I'll talk to you for 5 minutes. You don't have to look out and see nobody. Just, I'll talk to you for 5 minutes. Just talk to me. They'll come. But he's still, to this day, if that line ends, then he's gone.
Yeah, because some of them can be very popular guys. They just like, I mean, you saw this, Sean, even with like when you guys had your Walking Dead shows, not you having them, but everybody would go queue for Norman or Jeffrey, and the other guys wouldn't have anybody at first, and then it would trickle down. You know what I mean? Like but it happens at any con, right? Like, for example, you know, like Charlie Hunnam, or I'll use what's the main Dexter guy you have? Rick,
Michael C. Hall.
Michael C. Hall. They're gonna go get Michael C. Hall first. They're gonna get Charlie Hunnam first. They're gonna, you know what I mean? They're gonna get those guys first, and then they're gonna trickle down. The other guys go, well, I don't want to sit here. He's got a giant fucking line. I'm gonna be in the green room. You know?
Yeah.
Marty Cove knows that. Marty Cove goes out to his table and he says to himself, he goes, as soon as Billy and Ralph start signing, and now granted, Marty he'll have 30, 40, 50 people in his line, but Billy will have 200, Ralph will have 250. And then as soon as those guys start signing, they get out of line, bloop, go into Marty's line. And all of a sudden, now Marty's got 200 people in his line because they all waited, got who they wanted, and then they went to him. If me and Dom brought Weekend at Bernie's to a Comic-Con, we know what's going to happen. They're going to go get McCarthy. Then they're going to go get probably Terry Kaiser, honestly, more than Silverman. And then they're probably going to go get Silverman.
Why am I not there with Catherine Mary Stewart? Why am I not there?
I forgot about that. Sorry, I forgot. I forgot about Kathy Stewart.
And there aren't any book for those.
Did you represent Kafka? What was his name?
Don Kafka?
Don Kafka.
No.
He died though, right? He's died,
dead.
Didn't he?
Yeah.
Okay. They did a panel one time at Alamo City Comic-Con, and Andrew McCarthy could have sworn that guy was dead, and he argued with Silverman and Terry Kaiser for like 10 minutes that he was dead. Terry had to pull up on his phone that he was still alive for Andrew to believe him.
And then he died like a year after that.
What's that?
I think he died like a year after that, though.
Yeah, he died real close after that.
You know what I watched last night? Kind of funny coincidence. I haven't seen it probably in 30 years. Mannequin.
No, no.
That's a good one.
Andy does not like that movie.
I was watching it going, man, he must have felt that his career was over. But funny thing, it was such a huge hit. It really was.
Yeah. Oh, it was a huge hit, and people love it.
Yeah.
And see, Andrew McCarthy's an interesting guy because I've repped him forever, man. For literally, he might have been my third client. So for like 12 years, I've repped this guy. And he's so funny when it comes to his movies because people come up and like, oh my God, I love Mannequin so much. And he's like, yeah, why again? Tell me why. It's a movie, a mannequin comes to life and we run around a store and she gets into a hang glider and flies off. He's like, why do you like it again? And I told him, I was like, brother, you got to be an actor at these shows too, man. You can't say that about a movie that people love. It'd be like me going up to Schwarzenegger and him being like, I hate Conan. I'd be devastated. I wouldn't know what to do.
All right, here's a new topic. How do you guys deal with the balancing of being loyal to promoters and because that's a thing that we deal with. We start these relationships with promoters, and then a new show pops up in their area, and those people start calling us, and then they say don't work with them, and then you see, they say, oh, I'm not going to work with somebody that works with them. Then you see them working with somebody that's working with them. And then you're like, well, I'm the one being loyal and you're not booking that many people from me. These people are asking, and it feels like there's no reciprocation of that sometimes. Some people are straight loyal. Like you'll get some that are rock solid, but there's quite a few that are pretty fleeting when it comes to that.
I'll let you guys go first on that one. I want to hear what you guys have to say first.
There you go, Dom. You can lead one off, Dom.
Okay. Basically, I look at it as business. I have shows that I prefer to work with that I'll always go to first, but I'm not loyal to anybody. I'm not exclusive to anybody. Like, I don't tell them what agents they can book with and what agents they can't. So I don't expect them to tell me, what shows I can book with. So I really don't think about it a lot. I think about it from a business. If I like working with this show, and I know the promoter, I know what to expect, I know I'm going to make money. Of course, I'm going to go to him first and say, here's who I have, and if they say no, then I'm going to go to option B because at the end of the day, I need to be paid. Whether I work with this promoter or that promoter, I need to earn a living.
I know me, Rick, and Gilbert. I know we've talked about this a lot lately. Like a lot lately.
Come up a lot lately with me. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I know. That's what I said. We talked about it. We talked about it in Pittsburgh, you and I. Yeah. It's a hard one because like kind of what we talked about earlier. One thing about me personally, I genuinely like I'm straight across the board. I don't bullshit anybody. Like, hey man, this is how we are. This is what we get. This is what it is. If you want and I know Rick, you've had this thing a million times. Hey, we just want Billy Zapka, and you're like, no, that's not how this works. I'm just gonna give you Gayton.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sean, I just want Norman. No. We took that phone call the other day. That's not how this works. So I genuinely like to work with somebody who's fair across the board. And I get it. It is a very you scratch my back, I scratch your back business, and that's how these relationships are. Like I work very, very well with Informa. Gilbert works very, very well with like Steve from Rhode Island. Like we have relationships where we take care of each other and they book new people. The guy from Steel City, Bob Stein, I work very well with him. But it's like, hey man, like if you're not going to book these people and someone's in your business or in your area, you can't get mad that this is how I make my paycheck. Right. This is my okay, now I'm not going to make X amount of dollars. Are you going to pay me X amount of dollars to not go there? Because then we're talking. You know what I mean? Like then we're talking. But if it's hey, no, I'm gonna be. The hard ones are as you go like MegaCon in Tampa Bay, right? They're both bangers, and you go, oh shit. Or when Philadelphia used to be good, and then you got Cherry Hill, New Jersey, you go, oh shit. That's where it gets very, iffy on what to do. But I'm a Dom. Like it's one thing to take care of people if they take care of you.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm with Dom on that because this is how we make a living. I know we all have other side businesses, but I'm pretty sure this is the majority of our gig. But if you're up front, I realize if I'm up front with everybody, I tell everybody this is what they're doing. Like when I got Charlie Hunnam, the same with all your big guys. everybody wants him, right? And they go, hey man, I asked about him in 2017, and you go, yeah, but like you haven't booked any of my guys. You just want Charlie.
Yeah.
We had a phone call about somebody who just wants Billy, and it's just that's where it gets. It's hard, but I'm not loyal per se, like Dom said. But I will, if you taking care of me, I will take care of you. But it's got to be like it's got to make sense. You know what I mean?
It's got to be mutual.
Yeah.
There's a lot of rivalries out there, that these fans don't understand, and it gets ugly. I understand it. You're trying to protect your territory, and you feel like somebody's trying to take food off your plate or whatever. But at the same time, if a Burger King pops up across the street from a McDonald's,
yeah,
that's America. That's what happens. It's like,
perfect example.
The ketchup guy from Heinz isn't going to not work with McDonald's because they've been working with Burger King, and they're going to be like, well, I sell ketchup. That's my job. Oh, dude, that is the best freeze yet. Are you saying? Oh, you froze like this for a second, Rick.
Oh, I did.
No. Fred. Sorry, Fred.
Oh, did I?
Fred was
That's
like,
funny. That's funny.
You look like you had a stroke.
I probably did. This fucking comedy. Yeah, this fucking business is gonna give us all a stroke. Yeah, exactly.
I find it's becoming a bigger challenge lately, especially with so many new shows popping up. Oh my God.
Everybody wants to take a show to another show. Like there's a show we work with Planet Comic Con. 90s Con or Christmas Con is going into Kansas City now.
No.
And that guy.
Well, maybe I'll finally get somebody booked in Kansas City.
I know, right? I don't have anybody. Oh, now we have.
Dude, that dude has never booked with me once.
Really?
Every time. Well, I'll take Norman. And I'm like, bro, let's try this out first. And
yeah,
I mean, I like the guy too. I've talked to him. Seems like a nice guy, but he will just never been able to get anybody in there.
Yeah. Do you guys? Okay, so this is kind of the same exact subject. What do you guys do, especially Rick? What do you guys do when a big show that has multiple shows, 15 shows, and your client goes, hey, I just want to work with them. Like, let's go do their tour. And then all the other.
Well,
I've
never had a client say I just want to do their shows.
Well,
I've had those big shows say we want to do an exclusive with said person. I've had that happen.
See, I've had a couple clients that go, hey, these guys run a good show. Not that I just want to do them, but like, hey, for this year, let's just do their shows. Oh, I heard they have a lot of shows. Ask them if we can just do their shows this year.
Well, you could see where they're coming from because it'd be guaranteed events, and you don't have to worry about going out and trying to find anything.
Exactly.
If a place like Informa has 8 shows for them to do, and this client only does 8 shows a year, they could be like, man, just sign me up, and then you don't got to worry about me. Then we're locked in. This is an interesting subject for me because I like to think that overall, and I don't know because, maybe you guys know better than me. Maybe these promoters have said something to you about me. I'd like to think that there's very few promoters that I have a bad relationship with from a personal standpoint. I don't think I've ever done anything to a promoter that would make them despise me. I'm trying to think. I mean, maybe there's some people out there.
I think we've all had promoters that either we've gotten hot with, or maybe they just think you're arrogant, or whatever. I know there's a couple promoters that just think I'm too full of myself or some shit or whatever. And it's usually just stemmed from some sort of jealousy, that they don't like the fact that
doesn't make a guarantee. And then
let's get off. We'll get back to this in a sec, Rick. Let's not get sidetracked. But I have noticed that there has become egos in the promoter world too, where the promoters want to be celebrities and they want to be seen and they want to be known. And then they start to almost seem like if you're more well-known than them as an agent, that they resent you, and it's petty, but that's another factor I've been seeing fall into this game, But anyway, continue, Rick.
Yeah, I mean, I know that the guy, and I'll name him because who cares? The guy at Pensacon, Mike Ensley, doesn't like me, and he doesn't like me because I told him what I felt was wrong with his event, in terms of why I couldn't bring people to his show for what he wanted me to bring people there for.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know other people that have amazing successes at that show. I know Dom works there. In fact, I think I may have hooked Dom up with Mike Hensley at one point. I know Gilbert brings a ton of people there, and Neary and all these other people. But I gave him just
that's my next show.
I gave him a very simple critique on the event on how I felt about bringing people there, and boy, he did not like that shit at all. He thought that was the worst thing that I could have done, and we haven't worked together since. Now, granted, I haven't reached out to him since because I just feel like he doesn't want to work with me and bring people in, but he hasn't reached out either. So the feeling must be mutual in that respect.
I had the talk with Bob Stein from Steel City from when Dominic used to run it. And I said, hey, man, constructive criticism. You guys need volunteers, man. You guys need volunteers, dude. I don't know if you remember all three of you guys, we've all been there at the same time at that show. And I'm like, hey, man, we're not knocking your show. Your show's a moneymaker. It's good. But what's going to help you help us? Like, because to me, again, kind of like what Sean says, like we work with the promoter, we work with the client. It's like a team thing, man. You want me not fucking calling you every 5 seconds because we need this, we need that, we need this? Get some more volunteers. And this year, they had more volunteers. Granted, it was the biggest show they fucking had. Yeah. But I mean, even me and Rick were outside fixing fucking lines of that show.
I put in some work at that December.
Yeah, we did.
That December Steel City Con, some serious work.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. But it's like, we told them, hey, man, this is constructive criticism. We're not telling you to act like we're big shit. Because that's the thing is, you're right, man. The egos are out of fucking control on all sides. Like, all fucking sides. Agents, promoters, fucking volunteers, this shit. Like, no, man, I'm done with that shit. I told Gilbert, again, who's my business partner, I've said it plenty of times, man, I'm done with this ego shit and who's better than, like, fuck that, dude. Like, everybody work together, make some good money, things like that. But the egos, you're right. Like, some promoters don't know how to take constructive criticism because then it's.
I don't even know if it was ego with Mike because I had only done the show maybe 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about that because I don't know about that.
Yeah, situation, I mean, it could have been ego, it could have not been ego, it could have just been you're not a contemporary of mine. You don't have your own Comic-Con, so you shouldn't know anything about it. All I was really able to know was the bottom line. I saw the bottom line of my clients at the event, and it wasn't they weren't happy with it, so there was nothing I can do. But I think I talked to Dom about this on the phone a couple of weeks ago. There's blessings and there's curses, right? So it's a blessing that I have these people from Stranger Things and they changed my business. And it's a blessing I have the Cobra Kai folks that I have and Michael C. Hall that they trust me to do this with him, where he can very easily go to UTA and say, I'll do this. I don't know who's this guy. I don't want this guy to do this, but he doesn't. He wants me to do it for him. But it's a curse in the same time because promoter, I've noticed, especially this year, especially going into this year, where I don't know if you guys know this or not, but Cobra Kai and Stranger Things, they're going back to filming this year. They're both filming their final seasons this year. And once they get onto that set, Netflix doesn't like them doing cons. They don't want them leaving the set, going off for a weekend. Mm-hmm. What if they got a COVID test? What if they have to do a wardrobe fitting and they're in Seattle, Washington doing a show? Netflix don't like it at all. So they're very strict about them leaving. I have to kind of plan it accordingly. So I told a lot of promoters, after May, I'm like, listen, the Zapkas and the Coves and the Gatons and the Finns and the Peyton List and Bertrand and Sholo, those are all going to be tough to book. And I got to be honest, man, a lot of these promoters are like, well, we don't want anything from you, Rick, then. Well, I was like, well, wait, but I have 100 clients. Yeah, but if you can't bring us what we want, if you won't give us Billy and Marty and all these people, we're not going to do anything with you. And I'm saying, like, came out and said that to me.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I'm saying to myself, the business person says, okay, that's fine. I'll figure this out. The emotional person says, the way you treat me in 2023 is the way I'm going to treat you in 2024. So if you decide, hey, screw Rick in 2023, well, I'm just going to bring to the people that were loyal, because we're talking about loyalty, that were loyal to me. Yeah. Bob Stein went out of his way to find people to take from me. Dave Hagen went out of his way. Amon and Informer went out of his way. He's like, Amon called me, he goes, I got a bunch of spots for you. Let's find people that we can put in them. So next year, when I got Stranger Things, when I got Dexter, when I got Cobra Kai, I'm going to those folks and saying, okay, now here's my big people because you helped me small. And a perfect example is I was in Europe last year, and I had this European promoter up my ass the entire weekend. Oh, Rick, I want to work with you. I want to work with you. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. You're awesome. Everybody says such great things about you. You're so easy to work with. I'm like, cool. Like, you make a video for me and I'm going to post the video. Literally asked me to make a video for him. And I'm going to post the video on social media saying, Iconic Inc. is working with my show now. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. It's silly. I don't even take pictures with people at these shows. I'm going to make a video for you. I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I can't be bothered. I said, but we'll do some stuff, man. I said, let's do some stuff. He sends me an email last month and is like, I want Billy, Martin Cove, Finn, Gayton, and Caleb. And it shows like in the end of May where none of them can do it. I was like, well, man, I can't get you those people, but look at all the other people I got. Oh, I don't want anybody. I want those guys. I said, so basically, and I hate to say it this way, you were kissing my fucking ass because you thought you could get these headliners from me. But when the reality hit that you couldn't, it's, F you, dude.
Yeah.
I don't want to be bothered with you. And so I said to him an email, I said, well, then fine, then we won't do any business. I said, that's okay. I got plenty of people. I mean, I do plenty of shows in Europe. I'm not for a lack of doing business in Europe.
Just harder to go over there.
Tons of shows that I do. So stuff like that. My problem with promoters is never personal. Never personal. Never. Even the couple people that I don't do business with, I can't seem for the life of me to get somebody in Texas Frightmare Weekend. For the life of me, I can't do it. I could have Kurt Russell, and for some reason, Lloyd would tell me he was.
I think he'd take Kurt.
He might take Kurt, right? Maybe I'm going a little past.
If he got Billy Zabka with him.
Yeah, but I don't dislike Lloyd in the slightest bit. In the slightest bit. Mike Ensley wasn't. I don't dislike him in the slightest bit at all. It's just like Dom was saying. It's just business. Mm-hmm. So if we don't do something, and you have other promoters that do a lot to help feed my 3 kids and my wife and help me pay my mortgage, then when it comes down to it, when it comes time, those are the guys I'm calling.
Well, one thing I think we should make clear here that a lot of people that don't know this business may not be getting through this is these big names we have, these headliner types, don't want to do a lot of shows. Okay.
Oh, no,
so don't think that we're turning down shows left and right. I mean, these guys only want to do X amount a year. So we want to put them in the very best.
Right.
We can't waste.
You have no choice. You have to put them in the very best.
And if I put
the same thing,
if I put a guy like Norman Reedus into Billy Joe's Bubba Fest weekend, whatever the fuck, in the middle of.
Please don't say the word Bubba Fest. Let's not. That could get you incarcerated like it's. Don't say Bubba Fest.
Whatever, you know what I mean. I put him in some little Hobuck town, and he'll never work with me again, because he counts on me to get him the very best, So I can't take that chance. I got to make sure, we got to make sure that we put those guys in the best shows. And it's not disrespect to those promoters. It's just business, man. It's just,
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, I sat down with Hunnam in December at Steel City. He was, you guys, everybody, no matter if it's big or small, you guys know this. If someone goes and says, hey, I'm filming a movie, be gone for 3 months. We know we can't get that, right? I got 3 back-to-back. Key Kwan, who just won. He's about to win an Oscar, right? He's filming Loki season 2. He's doing another movie. He's doing all his Disney shit. Guys called me and told me I'm booked until like July. You guys see it on social media. People go, oh, they don't want to bring him here. They don't want to bring Norman to Tampa Bay. They don't want to I get that with Charlie. And no, we went over the schedule and we say, hey, when are you free? This is what we have. Rick, same exact situation. They can't do anything until May. With Charlie, we sat there and we said, well, what can we do? And right now we're doing 3 shows. We're doing Monster-Mania, which I went to Rick and we talked about it. And I was like, yo, man, do you think it's going to, he's like, yeah, let's do it. Yeah. MegaCon, which is MegaCon, and then Indiana, because Salt Lake had them. but the fans sometimes think we don't want to take them to a Minnesota or this or that. It's not that. It's just that's somebody that we have to look after and take care of, and you know what I mean. It's a certain situation, you know.
Let me jump back in for a second and share something really quick with you, and I'll name the guy too, not the promoter, but the actor. and this is what, again, fans, this would help them a little bit understand the mindset that we're all in. I had a guy email me about Martin Cove, and he's like, I really want Marty to come to my event. I'm only like 45 minutes outside of Nashville. Marty lives there. And he's like, you know, it will be great. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, well, you know, you got to tell me a little bit about your show and how many fans you get and all this other stuff, because I've never heard it before. And he told me that he gets like 300 fans that come to the event. I was like, okay. And I sent this dude a super respectful email. And I said, hey, we're going to have to pass for now. And he sent me an able back. Is he not available? I was like, no, he's around. I said, but respectfully, based on the size of your event and what it is and everything else, we're just going to have the pass. And this guy sent me the nastiest email back saying that I was an awful agent and that someday Cobra Kai will be nothing and he'll have the biggest show on the planet and I'll regret it. And his phone number was on the email. So me and my wife were watching the Great British Baking Show, and I told her, I said, pause this for a second. I got to make a telephone call. And I called this guy, and he didn't have my number, so he just picked up. I don't think if he knew if it was me, he picked up. And I said to him, I said, I want to talk to you, man. I want to tell you, I want to get you to understand something. Martin Cove, like any other worker, has a predetermined amount of financial gain that he wants to make from each event. And he wouldn't be able to make a tenth of that at your show. So how could I bring him there and tell him, hey, go do this show, give the same energy that you give if you went to MegaCon or Horror Hound or Atlanta Comic-Con, give the same energy and make 1/6 of the money. And I said to the guys, like, you know, what do you do for a living? And he's like, oh, I don't do anything. I'm a retired construction worker. I was like, oh, cool. I was like, if you made $20 an hour in your construction job, he goes, I made more than that. I said, okay, if you made $50 an hour in your construction job, would you go do construction for $1 an hour? No, of course I would.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So I can't, I was like, and you know what, dude? I said, you know what I don't want to do? I don't want to put a dollar amount on Martin Cove for you and say you got to pay him this amount and then bankrupt your show.
Yeah.
So it's just better for me to say no. And if in 5 years you got the best show on the planet and you want to say, fuck Rick Henriques, I'm not bringing anybody from him because he wouldn't bring Martin Cove that day. Well, brother, that's your prerogative. There's nothing I can do about that. But I'm just trying to look out for everybody. You know what I mean? I don't think, you know, with very few exceptions, I'm certainly not a malicious guy. I'm not trying to hurt anybody's show or not bring somebody to somebody's show. But you know, these things you got to do from a business standpoint.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, like to finish up on the like loyalty thing. It's like perfect example, like you talked about, like Mike Inslee, me and Sean. We always have I think Dom too. We always have a ton of people in his show, right? And then, you know, the Pensacola show. I think he knows, you know, without going into his personal books, he knows what his show can and can't book. You know what I mean? But it's one of those things, like it's a show that we go down there, and I think we literally have 21 people, I think, in that show.
Right.
I think we have 21 people in that show. It's more of I think I see him loyal with us, but it's also like Mike is somebody who I think, and again, I'm this way. I'm cool with you until you're not cool with me. You know what I mean? But granted, everybody's situations are different. You know, I know a promoter that loves working with me that's trying to work with Rick, but I know what he wants from Rick. It's like, well, come on, man, you gotta walk before you can run. You know what I mean? Like, I know these things. We all know this. Oh, I just want this person. You gotta walk before you run, man. I gotta see your show sometimes. Yeah. Unless someone comes to me and says, no, man, that's a banger. You gotta do it. You gotta do it.
Yeah.
But, you know what I mean?
Listen, I deliberately, and maybe it was a wrong decision, but I didn't work with Spookala this last year. I let you guys do it. And then I called Sean. I'm like, hey, brother, how was Spookala? And he goes, oh, it was good. And I said to Dom, you had people in Spookala, right, Dom? I said to Dom, I was like, how was Spookala? And he was like, oh, it was pretty good. I was like, okay, well, now is, time for me to work with Spookala. And I called Dan the phone, super nice guy. We've been doing email and we're doing business now. But he's also not coming at me being like, oh, I can't work with you, dude, unless you give me Michael C. Hall and Jen Carpenter and give me Finn Wolfhard, all for no guarantees and all this other stuff. And some folks do that, man. And it's they don't get it. Sometimes people just don't get it that it's still a relationship business, no matter how you cut it.
Yeah.
And why I don't book people based on relationship, I certainly turn a certain way based on relationship. I would but it's also got to be equitable. I could like a guy till the cows come home, and if there's no damn money in his show, then I still can't jeopardize a relationship with a client by bringing him there. I'm certainly not going to lie to a client and say that the show's great.
Yeah. Well, now you're going to have PD after you.
Yeah, and if he emailed me, I would, listen, I would say the same thing that I would say to Amon if he emailed me about a show in Orlando.
Yeah.
I'd be like, PD, these are the people that I have booked over there with that guy. He's done booking with me. You see everybody else that I have. Who do you want? But if it's going to be you can't work with that guy. Well, I used to rep DB Sweeney, and I pitched him to him. I can't tell you how many times, and then he took him from Chris Majors. But yeah. I'm not gonna say to PD, oh, listen, Chris Majors took my guy. You can't book them anymore. You work with whatever agents you want. Dom said that. Dom said, I don't tell you what agents to work with.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Don't tell me what promoters to work with. That's all.
A lot of people ask me why I don't work with Spooky Empire. People have, and I've always worked with Spooky Empire. I worked with them for over 10 years. And one time I put Norman Reedus and MegaCon. I got the email from him. I still have it. He basically told me that all the clients he had taken from me, all the worthless clients he had taken me for the last 10 years were just basically seat fillers. And he was doing me a favor. And that, that I was unloyal to him. And basically he told in the email said, go fuck yourself. And that was
the only one that hasn't gotten a go fuck yourself email yet.
and that's it. Never worked with him again. And that's him. That's not me. I would have still been working with him and making his show better. I mean, we were going to technically work together right before COVID, right, Dom? That was through Dom. He didn't want me there, but he booked two of my people through Dom.
Yeah.
But he didn't want me there. But then COVID happened and the show got canceled. He never rebooked that group. I don't know why.
No, he hasn't really worked with me since COVID.
No,
that much. So I don't know.
I mean, I put Robin Lively there this last event that he had, but honestly, I did it all through Gina. Mm-hmm. Everything was done through Gina.
I always liked Gina. I thought Gina's great. I always thought she was nice.
That's kind of another topic, though. Like the way the promoters book their shows. Like, do you think they really listen to the fans, or do you think they just book who they see is hot at all the other competing shows?
I think that's half and half.
Yeah,
I think that's definitely half and half because, like, perfect example, right? And Rick knows this more than anybody. Primetime took on almost 25 anime voice actors in the past 2 years. Gilbert met Monica Rial. And she brought us all these, dude. I'm not knocking it. I don't watch anime. I don't know anime, but I know my clients.
Say their autographs?
Huh?
Do they just say their autograph? How does that work?
But like those guys, go to a Comic-Con, any Comic-Con, and look at Primetime's voice actors' lines. It's insane because right now it's the hottest thing possible.
Yeah.
But then what happens is there's so many. There's two things. There's so many shows right now. We talked about this. How many new shows? You guys are just talking about a new one. And there's so many new Comic-Cons, and everybody goes, oh, I want Justin Briner, I want this. And you go, they can only do so many shows.
Yeah.
That's the other problem, man, is you can be cool with somebody in Dallas, and you can be cool with somebody in Fort Worth, who's 45 minutes away. And those two dudes may hate each other. And you go, well, fuck, I'm going to piss somebody off. That happened with me with Kiefer Sutherland. Sutherland, Amon met, true story. Amon met Kiefer Sutherland in Toronto at a restaurant, texts me and says, Kiefer's at the restaurant. You think I can go say hi to him? Text Kiefer and said, hey, this guy Amon, he's going to come up to you and say hello. Mon comes up to him and, of course, pitches him fucking fan expos. He goes, hey, I want to do the 3 shows you mentioned, which were MegaCon, Dallas, and I think Toronto. We agreed to it. Lloyd wasn't very happy about it, but it's hard to go. And Kiefer goes, that guy's going to give me 3 shows. And I just want to do 3 or 4 shows a year. And then you go, well, fuck. How do I keep it cool with Lloyd when Lloyd wants them? And you go, look, it's not personal, man. And you genuinely, like, I think us 4 genuinely mean it when we say it's not personal. The managers, and I'm not shitting on them or whatever, but the ones who are scrapping for shows, they'll sell their mom for a can of Coke for a fucking client in a show.
Yeah.
So when we got to go, fuck, dude, hey, man, I'm sorry. He picked it. Oh, why didn't you push my show? Trust me, dude. Pushed your show. I fucking called Rick because there were shows by New Jersey that wanted Charlie Hunnam, and I called Rick, and Rick was like, nah, dude, you got to do Monster-Mania. You got to do Monster-Mania. And I saw this personally this is about fans asking on social media. I saw people asking for Charlie. Oh, Primetime won't bring Charlie to Monster-Mania. Primetime won't bring him.
Yeah. So, you know? Fred, so what you're trying to say is those shows that wanted Charlie in that New Jersey area, they should be mad at Rick because he's the one who said
that's
that's right. They should be.
I will send his email. Yeah. Iconic.
Dude, how do you think the situation I was in when Jamie Lee Curtis wanted to do a show? Dude, I pissed off every major promoter because they all wanted.
You're part owner of Horror Hound. That's why you did it.
I love that. Yeah, I wish I was part owner. But people, people were pissed, and so and I knew I was in a losing situation there. So I reached out. The Petey from Spooky, because we were still cool then, Kevin, Chiller, Dave Hagen, Monster-Mania, Lloyd, Texas Frightmare, and Nathan. And I said, all 5 of you guys give me your best pitch, and I'll take it to her, and she's going to decide. I'm not having anything to do with this. Kevin passed. Kevin didn't even want to make a pitch. Don't know why. Everybody made a pitch. I gave them to her. Horror Hound did one thing nobody else did. It sealed the deal. And I had nothing to do with this. It was a brilliant idea. Nathan put in his pitch that 50% of everything they made that weekend they were going to give to the Children's Hospital. Nobody else offered that. She read that. She goes, that show. Done.
Right.
So, it wasn't me. But again, it's that situation where you're going to piss somebody off. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The funny thing, and I want to address something that Dom said, but I told my wife one time, when I did a complete It reunion at Dallas Fan Expo, and I had Finn Wolfhard, and I had everybody there, obviously not Skarsgård, but I had everybody from It, and they announced it, and people, out of their minds, right? Oh my God, Jack Dylan Grazer's going to be here, and Sophia Lillis, this is crazy, where this is going to be the best ever. At that one point, there was that one point where It was like the hottest.
It was It
brand on the planet. Everybody wanted. And now it's not so much, but still it's fine. And I come downstairs and I sit on my couch, and my wife knows obviously when there's something wrong with me. She's like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "Well, Dallas Fan Expo just announced the It reunion." And she's like, "Oh, but that's great news." I was like, "Nah, it's cool." She said, "Well, what's wrong with you?" I said, "I got about 9 text messages from promoters calling me an asshole for not bringing it to them." So it's like, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. But to go back what Dom said, or what Dom asked, Dom, I think that promoters want what's going to sell tickets at this point, right?
Yeah.
There's a new bottom line of sell tickets, sell photo ops. If I could sell enough photo ops to pay for all of the travel that I had to expense on that one person, then that person's a viable person to have at my show, right? I don't know if they all always look at who the fans want to meet versus, because to them, that's me and the talent making money, but it's not them making money.
Well, I think a lot of the promoters that are real fans, they'll take those weird clients that they want to meet,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah. But I'll tell you, Sean, you should have seen the shit that I got from people when I brought Michael C. Hall to Monster-Mania. I mean, the emails that I got and the text messages I got from people, blah, blah, blah. We booked so many of your people. Why didn't you bring them here? And the reality was that's the show that I pitched to him, and he didn't have to get on a plane. And I said to myself, I did a private signing with him, and I really want him to do a show because I know he would kill it. How do I make it the easiest possible scenario for this guy to not say no to a show? Dave came up to bat with what the guarantee had to be because, you know, Mike didn't know one way or another what he would make. And he didn't have to get on a plane. He just had to get in a car for 2.5 hours and come down from the city and come to the show. And that's essentially what it came down to. There wasn't any, you know, magic theory. Dave didn't. I mean, I got people saying that Dave was giving me a kickback. For what? I'm going to make enough money at this show.
I always love that. Yeah,
to feed a small family for a year. I don't need a kickback from anybody.
Yeah, you know? I love that shit too. I mean, I remember there was the rumors that I was part owner of Walker Stalker, or I was getting some sort of kickback from them. It's like, man, I was making plenty of money with that. I didn't need a kick. That whole show was practically my people. I was killing it. I didn't need a kickback.
So Dom, it sucks sometimes, Dom, when you know someone is like a really good guest and that the fans really want to meet them, and then you pitch them to a promoter and like, well, they're not going to sell any tickets for me. So, you know, why have them at the event? I get it because it's business. But it certainly doesn't make it any less disappointing, you know.
And then at the same time, that client showing you, look, all my fans are asking for me on Twitter.
Oh, I know.
Why aren't I doing this show?
I know.
Like,
I know.
My decision.
Yeah, it doesn't come down to it, but you know, it does fall on us because we look like we're not doing the job.
Yeah.
Like we're not getting them the gigs that they should be getting, which sucks because again, you know, like Sean said, a lot of these people I'm close to. You know what I mean? We exchange Christmas presents and we call each other on birthdays and, you know, we hang out with each other. I mean, a lot we don't too, but you know, so it's tough to tell some people sometimes that the promoter just doesn't think that, you know, you're the best fit for the show, you know, but you know,
and that's the catch-22. That's the catch-22 because literally what you just said, that we're not the best for their show, but if we say our client's not best for their show, we're the assholes.
I told one client, I'm like, go out and become Thanos, and then we'll show them.
Yeah, yeah.
Go out and get on Stranger Things, and then we'll show them. We'll
be in the next Marvel movie.
We'll say, sorry, they said that your show's not big enough to go to.
Yeah. Well, then there's an interesting thing you just said there. Go out and get on Stranger Things. Then you get the certain people. I've had 2 of them who landed a Walking Dead gig, who landed a Stranger Things gig, and they thought they were going to just kill it. And they ended up, maybe the characters weren't very likable. Maybe their part just didn't resonate with the people. You know, I mean, let's face it, in the Stranger Things world, the kids make the most money. You know, the adult actors, with the exception of like Harbor or Winona, if she ever did one, you know, the adult actors, not even coming close to those kids, you know. Jake Busey's my boy, but when he got Stranger Things, he thought he was going to need a security guard to walk with him through the airport, you know. I mean, I'm not kidding. Same thing when Xander Berkeley got Walking Dead, you know, he could not believe that Tom Paine had this insane line, but his, you know, with all his credits, you know, why he doesn't have a line. And I'm like, dude, look at him, you know, the guy's beautiful. You know what I mean? That's why he has a line, you know what I'm saying? I mean, but and the fact that his character was one of the most popular ones in the comic book, you know, I mean, you just never know. You never know. It's not a sure thing. Getting one of those hit shows isn't a sure thing. One of the dudes that Juliet just stole from me, that guy OK, who was on Cobra Kai and Walking Dead. That's 2 insane series. You would think his line should be out the door, right? Whatever reason, his characters didn't gravitate to people. You know, it didn't resonate.
It's almost all based on character. I mean, they don't know the actor personally unless they have some insane social media you know, and it also comes down to, it's not always the biggest actor. I've had this conversation with all of you that, you know, if someone came to me and said, "Hey, God, you know, we have a great actor for you. We'd really like you to bring Meryl Streep to Comic Cons," I would be like, "That,
Yeah.
Well,
I was like, what, you know, what's she gonna sign for though? I mean, I don't see the line for Silkwood around the corner over here. You know what I mean?
well, I mean,
But
it's like Jason Patrick. You know, I was the first dude he talked to. You know, he booked like 3 shows with me and canceled every one of them. We never worked together, but I had a conversation with him, and he was pitching himself. You know, Academy Award nominated, Rush, Alamo, you know, all this stuff, and I'm like, nah, bro, Lost Boys.
Boys.
And he's like, no, but I got all these others. I'm like, that's awesome. Lost Boys, that's what you're gonna sell. You know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's Academy Award winning. It has to resonate in that weird little bubble, that little box of the Comic-Con fan, you know. And I think I even told him, because he was complaining to me because the Power Ranger chick was his friend, and that she was getting a bigger guarantee than him. And I said, yeah,
she's a Power Ranger.
That's Power Rangers all, but that show's a joke. I'm like, yeah, but not in this world.
yeah,
You know,
she was everybody's first crush in the 90s, apparently.
I'm like, bro, in the Comic-Con world, she's a bigger star than you. I hate to break it to you.
I had a client.
He didn't like hearing that, so that's why I think it didn't end well with us.
I had a client that had dozens of credits, and we were together, and we were at Monster-Mania, and I had the Shining twins there, and he was beside himself. He goes, "I don't get it. What, their line is outside and people are waiting outside. They were in one movie for 30 seconds. And my response was exactly this. I'm like, yeah, but that fucking 30 seconds was the shit, wasn't it? I was like, you're going to remember them for the rest of your life standing
iconic.
The asses down that hallway.
Yeah.
You know, it's
iconic. I know we've been going for a while here. I know you guys probably wonder we're going to wrap this up. I did want to, there was a couple other things I wanted to touch on.
Sure.
One thing, if you guys, I'm just curious, have you guys ever had to make a moral decision about working with a client? Like, for example, I had to make the decision that Ted White had to stop doing conventions. Like, I had the talk with his wife, and I said, look, I think he shouldn't do them anymore, because I could tell he was getting disoriented. He was lashing out at fans because he'd get disoriented. It was not a good environment for him to be in, you know. And have you ever had to make that decision, or have you been offered somebody that you thought this person shouldn't be at a convention? You know, has that ever
just in that aspect, like, of that, or moral story as in, like,
well, okay, it could be a more maybe they're, you know, they've got some dirt that you know about, or, you know, that's out there. Let's, like, for example, Gary Busey shouldn't be doing conventions, clearly. Okay. But somebody made a moral decision to book him, you know?
Yeah. You know what? Yeah. You know what? Yeah, I did. I don't want to use names, but yeah, you're right. I worked with somebody who was a fucking alcoholic.
Yeah.
And I love, like, dude, generally, I'm not even bullshitting you, man. I know people feel different ways, man. I've literally changed who I am over the past couple of years, dude. We're all the fucking same, dude. We all bleed. We're all shit, whatever. We're all the same people. Some people just have to be more popular than others, right?
Yeah.
But in my eyes, no matter who the fuck you are, you can't treat people like shit.
Yeah.
I had, true story, I had Ron Perlman tell me one time, at one point, you're going to get to a point in your career where you're going to not need those headaches anymore. And I had a client who was, I've never seen people like that, because I don't surround myself with people like that. And I told myself, I go, fuck this, dude. I don't need this shit. I don't need and you go and we all do this. We go and we put a client in X amount of shows, and we go, we're making X amount of dollars off that X client this year, right? We all do that. I said, is it worth losing that money? And I said, yeah, it is, because it's a moral decision. It's like, you know, birds of a feather.
Yeah.
Right.
Plus, that person reflects on you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fast forward to December, when I had a promoter come up to me, I had Bob Stein come up to me and was like, yo, what the fuck? Because somebody walked out of their photo op, somebody left, did this shit, embarrassed my company, embarrassed me. If you embarrass me, you embarrass Gilbert.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? and made us look like fucking assholes. And I don't like looking like that. Some people strive off of looking like an asshole. No, I don't want that, because I want to be able to come back to a show. I want promoters. If I ever hit you, any of you guys up and say, hey, can you introduce me to X? He's a good guy. I want to be able to say, you guys be able to say, Fred's good. Don't worry about it. But to make that moral decision, yeah, man. And it was easy, because you go, nah, I don't need those fucking headaches. I don't need that. You know what I mean? I don't need someone being a fucking making me look bad.
Yeah, there's been people I wouldn't work with because of their habits that would obviously spill over into, either they wouldn't even show up, they're passed out in their room, they wouldn't show up the next day at the table. I mean, there's people I've seen that I don't work with that I'm like, this guy shouldn't be here. I mean, Tom Sizemore, that's one. That guy shouldn't be at a convention. He needs to be in a rehab.
But it's a reflection of you. Like, if you give a shit about your company, if you really do, if you genuinely give a shit about your company, you go, I don't want this to look at a reflection of me.
Plus, you don't want to exploit somebody. I mean, somebody that is like, I see some, like they're sitting at the table going, and they're like, sign there, and they're like, that dude don't even know where he's at. You know what I mean? Dude, that looks like elder abuse. That looks, I mean,
Dom, not to throw it back to you because you have elderly people, you do. but have you experienced that with anybody that you thought that maybe, hey, I think their time is almost done at these because of just health issues?
Yeah, I had one client that I really liked, but I noticed like he started like forgetting what airport he was in if he had a layover. Like he was forgetting where to go next, and he was getting like really forgetful. And I had a call with his wife, and I said, I said, if he still wants to do these, because he was still like healthy, he was still like enjoying the conventions. And I said, he has to do these with someone. He can't travel by himself.
Yeah.
And she said, there's nobody that can travel with him. And I said, well, then he shouldn't be doing these.
Yeah.
I said, because he's going to end up getting injured or getting lost somewhere. And I said, I don't want to work with him anymore because he's a liability. He's a liability for me. He's a liability for the promoter. And I stopped working with him. And then maybe a year later, another agent started booking him. And that con where I wasn't even his agent, I was there with other clients, and his wife called me and she's like, he left his suitcase at the airport. Can you arrange somebody to go get it? And I said, I didn't book him in this. I said, I don't work with him anymore.
Yeah.
And,
wow. Well,
and then he died maybe like a year later.
I had a situation. You said he died?
Yeah.
Can you say who it is? I mean, since he's gone.
Art LaFleur.
Oh yeah.
Art LaFleur.
Well, like I had a situation with Ted White, where I had already had this conversation with his wife and he was done. And all of a sudden he pops up I see on fucking Facebook as a new client of Chris Majors. I'm like, I called Chris direct. I go, dude, what the fuck are you doing? You don't know the condition this guy's. Well, I called him and he said he wants to do shows. I go, yeah, probably wants to go fucking skip through a field too. He's in no condition to be doing it. Take him off now. I said, this is coming from his wife. You want me to have her call you? Take him off. That really pissed me off. I was like, bro, you have no idea what you're dealing with,
I don't have anybody like that I felt that couldn't do shows. Now I've seen people at events that I thought, wow, they really shouldn't be here. People that I thought that had dependencies. I'm not gonna, because some of them it's probably public knowledge, but I'm not going to stick it out there. But I think there were some people that were I observed at shows. And I'm like, wow, they're fucked up. This is probably not the best environment for them.
Yeah, especially people who have substance abuse issues and are trying to get clean or something. Conventions are not a good place to be.
And some of them are fucking amazing actors. You look at them and you go, you're fucking amazing. Just get it together, And then you go. Like I said,
not to speak ill of the dead, but like Nichelle Nichols, she should have stopped doing cons like 5 years before she stopped.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys can ask Dave Hagen once, but I had a legendary encounter with Michael Madsen in when I booked him into Monster-Mania, Hunts Valley, 2013. Yeah, like 2013. Yeah, he was just a disaster. I mean, he was just the biggest mess I've ever seen in my life. And at the end of the show, I was like, this ain't for you, brother. I mean,
it ain't for you either. That's the thing.
Maybe this is more regulated on a movie set where they tell you can't do that stuff, or maybe you take it more serious making a movie and you don't do this type of stuff. But I can't be part of this anymore.
Well, I mean, like soon as I'm not trying to sabotage anybody's shit, but like soon as I saw Bam announced for a bunch of shows, I'm like, that's a dude that should not be at conventions. Is that, Bam Margera
punching his agent and shit.
And he's still getting booked by him, but
busting glasses over his face and shit. Oh, is he really?
Yeah,
I think it was Bam.
No,
he broke a glass bottle over his
No. I know that. I'm saying it's old boy still booking him.
I think so.
That's what I meant. I thought he went to somebody else.
No, but the thing is,
you hit me.
He's supposedly trying to get clean.
Which you want though, like
I want that for him. I'm just saying,
these guys. You see these. I worked with this guy that I genuinely like this dude as a person. Like I said, I genuinely try to have some type of not friendships, but relationships with these people. All four of us, sorry. We all go to dinners with our clients. We go hang out with them. We maybe have lunch. We sit in the green room where we're face to face, and we have to have human interaction. You go, this person's pretty cool. Like granted, I'm their agent and I'm not their friend. Some you do make friends with, but the ones that really make your life a living hell, you go, no, I'm good. That's where you go give them to the Chris Lewis's of the world and stuff.
Just a quick funny story.
He's still in jail, isn't he?
Do they get Wi-Fi in jail? I don't know if they do.
Huh?
They get Wi-Fi in jail?
Listen to this in jail?
Yeah, can they get Wi-Fi in jail?
I'm sure he subscribes to the channel. But then, you also think about like people that aren't mentally fit to be doing them either, I mean, there's, Rick, you did a signing with what's her face, Shelley Duvall. I mean, is she somebody that you think should be out there at a convention?
No.
No, I mean,
1,000% no. And it's funny that came really fast. Because I know we on time here. That came up recently because Shelley is in a new film. I don't remember the name of the film, but she's doing this very, very small part in a new film. I believe that they went and filmed it maybe at her house. Let me tell you something about Shelley Duvall. Shelley Duvall is a very, very sweet person. She's super nice. She's genuine. She has feelings. She has great memories of working with some of the biggest Hollywood people there are. Shelley Duvall was a massively successful person in Hollywood. She had her own studio. She was producing and writing all those fairy tale theaters and working with the biggest people on the planet. But Shelley drifts off into places that I don't know where she's at sometimes when she goes to them. Mm-hmm. And my fear for Shelley at a convention, which I know that this individual that made this movie was actually looking for shows to bring her to help promote his movie.
Seriously.
Yeah. And promoters reached out to me. They're like, hey, Shelley Duvall. Well, why don't you bring her to a show? I was like, I wouldn't bring Shelley Duvall to a show. And they're like, oh, you know how much money you make? The money is of no consequence to me.
Yeah.
Because what would happen at a show is that Shelley would go into one of these moments where she is not, where I hate to call it not normal. It's just a different place where she's at. And I know what would happen. Everybody take their cell phones out and they'd be recording her. Oh, look at Shelley Duvall lapsing into a state of a paranoia or whatever is going on. And I would feel so bad for her when all those videos started getting posted. And I'd feel so guilty because I like her so much. There is no amount of money that would make me book her at an event because I think that for 60% of it, she would be totally fine. And then something would happen and it would really go downhill super, super fast.
And it's the filmmaker that's trying to book her?
The filmmaker, he had reached out to a bunch of different shows, including Dave Hagen, and I believe, I don't want to talk about this guy because I know we'll be here for 6 more hours. I don't have the best relationship with Bill Philpott anymore because of just some business stuff, and I'm not going to go into it, but I still like Bill. I know you don't, Sean, but I still like Bill in a way. And if Bill called me tomorrow, I would probably still do a little bit of business with him at some of his shows. I don't dislike him in the least bit, but he knows that I know Shelley.
Give it time.
And he reached out to me and he's like, after not having
he reached out what?
Time, he was like, "What do you think about this?" I'm like, "Dude, you don't want this at your show, man. You don't want this at your
You know
event.
what though, man? You know what? I think some promoters do.
Oh no, trust me. There's
no.
If you were a promoter at a horror convention, fuck yeah, you'd want Shelley Duvall.
Bro,
no. I'm not saying they want Shelley Duvall. Go ahead, Sean. What were they saying?
I was about to say that's the dude that would want it at his show.
There's certain promoters that go.
All he cares about is like getting people through the door. Man, if he can put, even if she doesn't show, he can put her on that website and sell tickets. He'll sell it to the very last second and go, "Oh, she's crazy. She didn't show up because she's crazy."
Honestly, like, there's a promoter internationally that we work with, Rick, that he genuinely likes that stuff. He likes the. He likes it though. He's telling me. He's like.
Let me cut back in there though, because Bill was definitely, listen, whether it was not real or whether it was real, he was concerned about her health in the messages he was sending to me. And he said to me, "Do you think this is a good idea?" Now, again,
he was concerned about, could I get sued in any way for this? Because if I can't.
If he was thinking that way, he didn't say it to me. And all I said to him, I was like, "Dude, it's not a good idea for Shelley. And it's definitely not a good idea because if her brother saw her book someplace, her brother would get in somebody's ass someplace because his brother is sort of her conservator and protects her in a way. You can't get her on a plane. It's impossible. You can't get her on a plane. The woman hasn't traveled since 1991. Any place that's outside.
Where she live?
Where she lives. She lives in Texas.
He's doing a Texas show.
I know, but I'm telling you, she ain't gonna come there. I would feel real bad. I would sit there. I wouldn't get in anybody's business. I wouldn't chastise anybody for booking her because I get what they're trying to do. They think it's in their best interest, but it's not in Shelley's best interest. And she's a wonderful, wonderful person that I've had amazing conversations with about The Shining. Like I could tell you stories. We could have, say, for another podcast with Shelley where she's told me stories about The Shining that I don't think anybody's ever heard before that are just awesome. But then 5 minutes later, it's not a lucid conversation anymore. And I would think people would film that and exploit that. And
of course they would.
Just like Dr. Phil did, where he didn't try to help her. He just tried to exploit, oh, look at this celebrity that's down on their luck.
And to be perfectly honest with you, I mean, putting her in a movie right now is probably a little exploitive too. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how he got it done personally, but I mean, maybe he just went to her house and filmed it. But and maybe it'd be good for Shelley. I don't know how it's going to be depicted. It's got like Edward Furlong and somebody else in it, and that's my answer on Shelley Duvall. No, I would not book her at a show. Someone could give me $100,000, and I would say I'm not going to put. And that's the honest truth. I swear. I'd be like, I'm not putting her in that position. She's too nice of a person.
Just a quick funny story. So I repped Yaphet Kotto for a while. I'll tell this because he's gone too, and he was an interesting character.
Yes, he was. He ruined my Alien poster.
Well, that's because you were talking about Sigourney Weaver, and he was a bigger name than her. Like he said, he did a con with her, and his line was wrapped around the building, and she was sitting there. But he wouldn't fly. He would only take the train to conventions. So, look, if I booked him somewhere in New Jersey, he would sit on a train for 3 days from LA.
Oh.
He wouldn't fly because Obama had a hit on him. Obama would bomb the plane. And I said, well, wouldn't he have like 3 days to hit his target on a train? I said, you think they can't bomb trains? I said, on a plane, he'd only have 5 hours and he'd be there. And he goes, no, that's not the way the CIA works, Dominic. But anyway, I worked with him for like 7 shows, and we had a lot of fun. Like, I still liked his work. We had a lot of good memories. But this last show that I had him at, he was just too crazy and too snarky. And I was thinking in my head, this is it, I'm done. So at the show ended on Sunday, and I counted him out, I paid him, and he goes, so I don't think I should work with you anymore, before I could say anything. I said, really, why? And he goes, there were so many actors there that I was bigger than, and their line were longer than mine. He goes, that's your fault. And I said, my fault? And he goes, "You're too white to represent me."
Well, you got
I
that
said-
part right.
I mean,
I
you
said,
are pretty
"Sorry,"
white.
and he goes, "You don't know how to market black actors."
I like Yaphet now. He's
And
right.
I said, "Well, tell me, Yaphet." I said, "How do I market black actors?" And he goes, "You got to hire supermodels that are black to walk around the convention with holding signs with my face on it." And he goes, "You got to go into every KFC within a 100-mile radius and put an ad up saying Yaphet Kotto's in town." He goes, "You just don't know black people, man. You're just too white." And I said, "Okay." I said, "Take care of it. Here's your money." And then I went back down to the bar. Scott Wilson was at that con, and I went down to the bar to meet Scott for a drink. And the first thing he said when I walked over, he goes, "Man, you look whiter than normal. Is everything okay?" And I was like, why is everybody saying I'm so white now?
Because you live in Pennsylvania, dude.
And yeah, and that was my last con with Yaphet. I don't think he ever did another one. I think he passed away maybe 3-4 years after that. But the stories from that guy, I mean, he was a character. Yeah, I've never been told I was too white to represent somebody.
I hope somebody tells me I'm too Mexican to represent them. That'd be great.
Real quick, I asked, me and Lance Kirkland were doing a signing with Shelley Duvall once, and I asked her, I was like, "Hey, when was the last time you saw The Shining?" And she's like, "Oh, I don't know, 20 years ago, 25 years ago." I'm like, "Wow, it's that long." She's like, "What's your favorite scene?" I said, I really, like everybody, I really love the staircase scene. So that's an amazing scene with you and Jack. You look so desperate and he's so crazy and he's just, Wendy. And she's like, "Yeah." And Lance was like, "Would you like to watch it, Shelley?" And he pulls it up on the phone. And Shelley's staring at the screen. And she says every line on cue at the right part in the movie, word for word, from the time she's at the typewriter to backing up the stairs to when she hits him with the back. And I look at her and I'm like, "I thought you said you haven't seen this movie in like 25 years. And she looks at me. She's like, "When Stanley Kubrick makes you do it 250 times, you remember that shit."
Yeah.
I was like, okay, good play.
With Ted, he had moments where he got confused and then he'd get angry and it was, I mean, he got to the point where none of the girls that worked for me wanted to sit with him because it was hard, he would start, I mean, he would literally be like, somebody would go, "Oh, could you put Jason part 4 or whatever?" And he'd be like, What? What could you put? What? Get the hell out of here! And he'd yell at them, and I mean, and we'd have to go to the fan and we'd give them their money back and go, "Hey, I'm sorry. It's nothing personal. He has these moments. He's old." And it got to where that was happening a lot, man. And it was too much.
I must have got him when he was okay, because I had him sign a Starman poster at a convention. I don't collect a lot of autographs, but I love the movie Starman.
Oh yeah.
So I had him sign that, and I forget what he wrote. He wrote some quote underneath it that he said, in the movie. But he's super sweet guy, super nice guy.
He was great, man. But he'd have those little moments, and it's unfortunate. But anyway, well, let's wrap this up. I'm gonna end it on. I want to hear from each of you what your personal favorite convention is, not most moneymaker, your personal favorite one to go to. Let's say your personal favorite. Give me your top 3 favorite shows to go to. Let's not get into which ones make you the most money. Which ones you like going to the most? Just out of curiosity.
All right, Dom, you can go first.
Well, I like Monster-Mania because it's 20 minutes from my house, so I don't have to get on a plane.
Can't be that.
I like Horror Hound because Nathan is probably my favorite personal promoter to work with.
Which show do you prefer, the Cincy or Indy?
Cincy.
Yeah,
Cincy. And I call Nate just to bullshit about movies, and sometimes we'll talk for 2 hours and won't even mention business. He's the only promoter I can say that about, that I have that relationship with. So in that aspect, I'll say Horror Hound. And I like Chiller. I think Chiller Theaters, old school. It's very unique. Yeah. It's like the only convention like that. Yeah, I would say those 3. I mean, I love Texas Frightmare and, a bunch of the other ones, but those 3 for me.
Rick?
My number one favorite show to go to is Facts in Ghent, Belgium. Yeah, I love that city. That's the if any of you guys, and I'll hook you all up with Neil over there who runs Heroes Easy Fares conventions. Ghent, Belgium is literally the nicest city with the nicest people, with the greatest food and ambiance. It's like Arendelle. It's, from Frozen, like the city of Arendelle with cobblestone streets and castles, and we stay in a castle, for Christ's sake. I'm telling you, man, that city is one of the nicest European cities I've ever been to. I love it there. And the promoter is second to none as far as European. She is the most professional and nicest person on the planet. They do a show in Amsterdam and in Spain, and they're just awesome. So that's definitely my number one. And
just because of the locale.
Just because of the location. Second would probably be Denver Comic-Con, because I love Denver. I love the mountains. I like to go, around the city and stuff. I just like the city. It doesn't matter.
I've never done it. It's my first year. This year is my first time doing Denver Comic-Con. Believe it or not, it always fell. It always fell on the same weekend of a Walker Stalker show, and they always just wanted Norman, so I never could get kind of in there.
Yeah, it was a tough show to get into when Christina Angel ran it in Pop Culture Classroom, but now it's a Mon show. So
yeah.
And my third would probably be Steel City Con in Monroeville.
Yeah.
I like the show. I like the setup. I mean, it can be chaotic sometimes at times, but that's fine. I like the event. And I got to add that really, really close fourth is Rhode Island Comic-Con. Sean, I remember the very first Rhode Island Comic-Con. It was me, you, and Fred Westcott, who repped all the Batman people, were the only 3 agents there.
Wow.
That's it. There was no other agents at that very first show.
What we like to call the good old days.
Yeah, and now Fred's dead. So
no Freds, no Doms.
No, Fred Wilcock is now dead. But yeah, it was just us 3. We're at the very first show, and I like that event too. But if I had to do a top 3, I would say Facts, Denver Comic-Con, and then Steel City, because I like Pittsburgh sort of now.
Mm-hmm. Fred.
If we're doing just like destination fun and like I said, a mixture, number one's always been Salt Lake, because I love Park City. Yeah. I love Park City. Like, dude, if I when I got up and moved to Colorado, I just wanted out of Texas. I love Miss Texas, but I wanted something different. And I don't know if I ever even told you, Rick. It was between.
I can still hear you.
Yeah, it was between Salt Lake and Colorado Springs when I was moving. Like, it was between those two, but because I went to Colorado Springs or Salt Lake so much because of the shows, when I was doing 2 shows, I almost moved there. And then Colorado Springs.
Have enough lives.
Yeah, I know, right? You want to know what's a bitch about Salt Lake? You cannot find a normal 3-bedroom house.
It's expensive there.
No, but everything's 5 bedrooms.
Oh yeah.
Everything is 5, 6. Like, I've never knew you could even look for 7-bedroom houses. Like,
All right, so Salt Lake's number 1. What's number 2?
Dude, Vancouver.
Really?
Yeah, because have you been to Vancouver?
I love Vancouver, but I mean,
Vancouver,
it just took me forever to get there.
Yeah,
never been there.
It's Vancouver. Don't ask me if I've ever seen them, but it's literally a Hallmark video. It is probably one of the most underrated cities.
It is beautiful.
It is
women are amazing there too.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It is one of the most underrated. Like, in the movies when they got the little prop planes that land in the water and shit, they literally have that. Yeah. So Vancouver, definitely, like I said, mine are mostly destinations because I'm like, single and shit, and I actually love to travel. And number 3, because I'm up there with Steel City. I've always genuinely liked Steel City because I've said this before, and it's there's no other way to say this. I've told this to Gilbert 100 times over. If I could do a show every single weekend, that should be another question. If you could do a show every single weekend, work-wise, I would do Steel City because it's ran a certain way. It's the ambiance, just everything is just ran a certain way.
People are really nice too. The Pittsburgh,
yeah.
Pennsylvania people are nice.
Yeah, like it is. It's not like Philly. Sorry, Dom. But
I live in Bucks County. I don't live anywhere near Philly, and I hate Philly. So
I know you fly out of Philly, but yeah. But like, it's just a certain one where I go, this is the least stressful, because people don't realize what we do is when we do these cons sometimes in these mega huge giant convention centers, when we got to get on a go-kart and go 20 minutes around the, and the panels over here and the photo op, that makes us, and then we have 10 people or 13 people, you're running, that's part of the work-wise of why I've liked Steel City. Granted, we all have busted Bob's balls about that hotel. Yeah, but if it wasn't that one, Dublin, because I love Ireland, man. Ireland is just, you were there, Rick. Ireland's
great.
I was there.
Ireland's amazing.
Yeah, you were there too, Dom. Yeah. By the way,
I've never done the Dublin show.
I haven't done the show, but I've been to Ireland. I've gone in between. I did back-to-back Andy Cleek shows. I did Manchester and Wales, and me and Marty and his son went to Ireland for the 4 days.
Dude. Yeah, we both did. That's when I almost died.
Remember? Yeah, it was. Well, you went to Switzerland. I went to
Ireland. I went to Switzerland.
It was. I mean, Ireland was like everything that you ever thought it was going to be. It's like trapped in time.
Yeah, man. That is.
What are your three favorite?
I would go number one, Horror Hound Cincy, just because I really love that. I love that venue. I just think it's such a cool, unique venue. And just the fact that, like Nate's one of my closest friends, and that whole group I'm so tight with. It's just, I even go in 2 days early just to hang, I always have fun at that one. Can't really say much for the city, but number two, I would say Steel City. It's a fun show. I like Bob a lot. There's a vibe there that it's got kind of an old school vibe that the vendor they have. I always buy something there. Like nowadays I walk through a show floor, it's all the same shit, pop figures and all that. But they always have some good vintage dealers at Steel City. They have some cool stuff. And also, being the big, huge movie location nerd I am, I'll fucking go over to the Dawn of the Dead Mall across the street 3 times a day. I'll go there and eat at lunch. I'll go to the food court.
Mall.
I go to that little noodle, that like Japanese noodle place. I'll just sit, I love that place. Number 3, gosh, I would have said Frightmare, but it's a new location this time, so I'm a little nervous. I always dug the vibe of that hotel. It was tight as fuck, but it had a vibe, and I'm hoping that vibe isn't lost on the new location. We'll see how it goes. It
happened with Horror Hound Indiana.
It did for sure. It did. It was still a very successful show, but the vibe was not nearly the cool vibe it had. And I've talked to Nathan about that a great deal. Salt Lake, I agree with you. I like Salt Lake a lot. They're really good people. And you have a hard time finding a nicer hotel. They, the fucking Grand Americans, dope. Yeah.
You always tell people never take them there for their first show.
That's true.
I've told every client that. Dom never take. They're like, "What's the good show?" I'm like, "I'm not gonna take you there. We'll go down the line."
And that's where I took Thomas in Griffith. But yeah, I told him that. I said, by the way, don't expect all hotels for conventions to be like this one.
Yeah.
Get your expectations way too high.
Yeah.
Those are probably the ones. I hate to travel, and I'm not much of a outdoorsy.
I hate flying.
I hate flying.
And I hate doing cons in Europe for that reason.
Yeah. I hate doing cons in Europe because of how they rape you of all the fucking percentages.
Yeah. You gotta be like you gotta have 6 eyes at those shows.
Yeah. That's a whole nother podcast right there talking about. Hey, I want to do them, but they don't make it easy. I'll say
He
that.
made $676,000. Why did I get a check for 18 cents? I understand. Well, you got cuts and you got VAT and you got splits. Wait, I'm splitting with the gardener of the, of the hotel? Yeah, they got to get 10% too.
Yeah, an honorable mention, I'd say I really like Monster-Palooza because it's very unique with the props and the cool displays, and it's a unique show.
Yeah, if I was going off of shows, Monster-Palooza, CreepyCon, and Midsummer Scream here in California are all really cool shows with cool shit and great people that run them.
See, you guys, you and Dom are more collectors than me.
Yeah.
And Fred are. I mean, I don't go out into the area and look for stuff to buy. I know Fred really doesn't either.
Yeah.
You guys. I mean, look at the back. Look at your back. Me and Fred's background. Look at your guys' background. I mean, you guys collect shit.
What is that behind you, Fred?
Some Conan stuff and whatnot, and I might buy a pinball machine. But
that is
Robert Englund. Okay,
it's Robert Englund. I got Robert. One of my buddies was like the biggest. I don't know what they call him nowadays. Tagger artist in Texas.
Yeah.
Dude named Soup. He's like insane.
I just have Marty Cove at my desk. Santa Cobra, Creeks, just hanging out at my desk. That's it.
Yeah, and then I got Mark Hoppus, Tom DeLonge, and Travis Barker. So yeah, but mine's all sports shit. I collect sports stuff. Like my man cave that's out there, it's all Chiefs and Wolverines and shit, Barry Sanders and Tim Duncans and stuff. It's all like that. That is my gnarly shit. But I got a couple posters, like a Travolta Pulp Fiction and a Back.
I have a lot of movie props from Conan, but they're all, I don't keep them in my office. They're all out in my man cave area. So
we got that big ass house now. You can put everything in there.
You got John Milius chained up in there.
That's right. And I just redo scripts for him. I keep them. I think, give me ideas and read these scripts.
No, it's fun.
Very cool.
All right. Well, I appreciate you guys coming on. I hope we've shed some light into some of what we do and what we deal with. And I don't even know if people will sit through this shit, to be honest with you. We'll see.
You might have to trim this bad boy down to it was 3 hours essentially. You might have to drop it down somehow to 2.5. I don't know.
How long does your podcast usually run?
2 hours, So I mean, it's funny. People will just sit there and put this shit on while they work,
That's what I do.
Yeah. So
I think lately a lot of attendees have been interested in this kind of stuff. The back end of cons, like it seems like more and more they're interested.
Yeah, I've been asked to do a few. I just fucking, I just kind of always turn them down. I've been asked. I'm just like, fucking.
Well, I think fans are. I know we got to end this, but I think fans are interested in the how did you get to this point piece of it.
Yeah.
Okay, why is Ewan McGregor here? Why is he $200 for an autograph and $200 for a photo op? So they start looking into it, and and again, that's what some of the fans don't realize, that obviously this is a business, so there's payment involved, and each of those actors has a different variable that they have to get paid, and no promoter wants to lose any money, and they know how much they can do in an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours or 5 hours, whatever. So they have to figure it out how they could not lose money. It's not always ego and greed, and when they see that, the Undertaker is $200, the Undertaker wants to buy a new car, so he's going to a show. The Undertaker has an expectation of how much money he's supposed to get. He has a time frame in which he appears in. You have to figure out how much he can do in that time frame and price it appropriately, and that's the way it is. I mean,
yeah.
And again, if it's slow, he's already dead.
I go back to the days when I get it. You used to be able to go to a show when people were $10. I got David Carradine at Chiller Theater when the tents were out there, and he charged $20 for an autograph, and I was like, man, David Carradine, this is awesome. And then Matthew McGorhay was right across from him from House of a Thousand Corpses, and he was like $10. And then I go there and spend a bunch of money, and now it's more. But there's also the expectation of making more. You get bigger stars that command larger amounts of money to do it.
When I first started driving, gas was 75 cents a gallon.
Yeah. If fans don't like it, go be a sports fan and go to some of those shows and see how much that is. The punter for the 1972 Dolphins is $90 for an autograph on a picture. I mean,
don't even ask how much Patrick Mahomes is, man.
Dude, Tom Brady, a private signing, $1,200 on an 8x10. Name a celebrity that's a $1,200 8x10.
Not even Robert Downey Jr. was that. Not even Robert Downey Jr. was that.
Nobody is that. There isn't a celebrity on the planet to be that much. But Tom Brady, Brett Favre is $700 at a show just to walk up and say, "Can you sign my football?"
What was Schwarzenegger charging?
Schwarzenegger buy a Schwarzenegger autograph for $400, $500.
I think at the cons he was 300.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was more than that.
No, it was like $300. No,
I think Stallone was 500, wasn't he?
Yeah, that was the most that I ever saw anybody at an actual show.
At an actual show
was I mean the Schwarzenegger thing was $1,200, but you got a photo and an autograph, and you got to say goodbye to Apple because he went out of business because of it, and all that was included in the package.
That's a long name. That's a lot of ink.
So that's a whole nother podcast, though.
Yeah, the one question I think I get asked the most by people that you guys probably are sick of, and we always like, is hey man, how can I get into this business? Or how could I work for you? Or how could
you can't and don't.
There you go. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah. you can't get into you can't work for me and don't get into it.
No, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I'm to the point where when people ask me, can I be an assistant for you? I'm like, bro, you want to be an assistant for me? Go make friends with Rachel. If you can make friends with Rachel and Rachel thinks you're okay, maybe you got a shot. Because
that's a death wish.
Well, that's the truth, man, because it's to the point where those girls got to get along. If they don't get along, forget about it, From
a real standpoint, I'll always ask people, are you what are you a huge fan of? And they're like, oh, man, I'm a huge fan at all. That's why I don't want you.
Yeah.
I don't want huge fans. I don't want people going off and doing photo ops with people. And, hey, man, can you watch my celebrity for a minute? I got to go get a photo op and 3 autographs. That's why I got the same 4 people that have worked for me and with me forever, and those are the only 4 I need.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well, Rachel is kind of like that, but at least she knows how to be professional. She's a fan. I don't want anybody from being a fan, but I don't want to hire fans either. So, where can everybody find you guys on your socials or your websites or whatever if you want to promote anything? Or if you don't want anybody to follow you at all, that's cool too. Peace out.
I only have a Facebook page, Iconic Ink Management, and I have a website that's really just for promoters. It doesn't do anything but show who I have as clients.
I know some fans might be interested in seeing who we rep.
Yeah, they can go to iconikinkmanagement.com or on Facebook. Pretty easy. I don't do the Twitter and Instagram and stuff like that. That's for Mr. Mancini at Full Empire. He's the social media guru over there.
Yeah, no, it's primetime appearances. I run pretty much the Facebook. Gilbert runs everything else, man. But yeah, primetime appearances. But yeah, if you get retweeted or liked, it's mostly Gilbert, not me.
Yeah, my Full Empire Promotions.com, and that's on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and everywhere else.
All right, guys.
All right, boys. Thanks again. Night. I will see all you guys soon.
Okay, take it easy.
All right, dudes.
Later,
guys.